By the time June Mercer came home, the brass plate bearing her husband's name was already off the workshop door. Grant stood in the driveway with a broom, sweeping sawdust toward a rented green dumpster. Owen was carrying Earl's red air compressor to the bed of his pickup. The big door behind them had been rolled open, exposing pale rectangles on the concrete where machines had stood for decades. June stopped with one hand still on the steering wheel. Grant saw her and smiled as if he had remembered to change a furnace filter. "Perfect timing," he called. "We're just about done." She got out slowly. Her right wrist ached from the injection she had received 20 minutes earlier, and the doctor had told her not to lift anything heavier than a coffee mug until morning. "What did you do?" "We cleared it." Grant spread his arms toward the hollowed-out shop. "Now you don't have to." Owen set the compressor down without looking at her. In the dumpster, beneath broken shelving and coils of extension cord, June saw a walnut table leg with Earl's pencil marks running down one side. She went into the house, opened the pantry cabinet, and carried out the gray metal order box. 6 customers had paid deposits, 6 jobs had been promised, and the wood meant to finish them was disappearing in front of her. Grant's smile faded when she set the box on the hood of his car. June opened the lid. Neither son seemed to understand why that frightened her more than the empty shop. 12 days had passed since Earl died. June knew because every morning she moved a blue ceramic bead from one side of the kitchen windowsill to the other. She had begun with 20 beads, an old counting habit from the weeks when Earl took antibiotics after his first surgery. There were 8 left now. Grant had spent those 12 days being useful at high speed. He arranged the funeral luncheon, returned the rented oxygen equipment, canceled Earl's magazine subscriptions, and produced 3 different lists of what June ought to do before winter. He had also started calling the house the property, which made it sound like a place no one had ever burned toast. Owen had spent the same 12 days carrying things, folding chairs, flower stands, boxes of clothing. He hugged June whenever he arrived and kept his face turned away whenever he left. Neither had asked for the workshop key. Earl had given them copies years ago. June lifted the first order from the box. A pink carbon sheet was clipped to a deposit receipt. "Evelyn Price," she said. "Roll-top desk, repair the tambour, replace 2 pigeonhole dividers, match the existing finish." She paid $600. "Mom," Grant said, lowering his voice in the way he did when he wanted credit for remaining calm, "Dad is gone. I attended the service." Owen rubbed the back of his neck. June took out the next sheet. "Keith Nolan, walnut dining table." He paid $2,200 down because the lumber alone was nearly $17. Grant looked toward the dumpster. "That walnut was in here?" he asked. "It was in the rack along the east wall. The contractor gave us $1,200 for everything in the rack." "Which contractor?" "Dale something." "Owen knows him." Owen finally looked at her. His eyes were Earl's eyes, gray and heavy-lidded, though Earl had never worn his guilt so openly. "Dale Bruckner," he said. "He does remodels over in Westfield. Call him. It's already loaded. Then you'll know exactly what to ask about. June." Grant used her first name when he believed she was being unreasonable. "We had to make decisions. You couldn't leave this place frozen forever. It has been 12 days. That's not what I mean." She looked into the shop. Earl's 2 assembly benches remained in the center, scarred and gouged, too big for the sons to move without taking them apart. A galvanized trash can sat by the wall. Everything else the cabinet saw, planer, drill press, clamps, racks, stools, finishing supplies, had either vanished or been piled for removal. Even the radio was gone. June had hated that radio. Earl kept it tuned to a station that played the same 30 songs from 1972, interrupted by men shouting about used trucks. For 41 years, she had threatened to throw it into the creek. Now, its absence seemed malicious. "Where are the pantry doors?" she asked. "What pantry doors?" Owen said. 6 maple frames. The panels were clamped on the back bench. "We took loose cabinet pieces to the transfer station this morning." June pressed 2 fingers against the order sheet until the paper bent. Grant stepped closer. He was wearing loafers in the sawdust, expensive brown ones with pointed toes. He looked so much like a man visiting someone else's difficulty that June nearly laughed. "We're trying to spare you," he said. "From what?" "From spending the next year surrounded by half-finished work and tools you can't use." Owen flinched before June could. She turned to him. "Which ones can I use?" Come on, Mom. No, tell me. The orbital sander, the drill press, the sprayer I cleaned every time your father forgot? That's different. What about the stain cabinet? Nobody answered. Grant picked up the second order sheet and glanced at it. You call these people. Explain what happened. We refund their deposits after we sell. Sell what? The question landed between them with a small, almost polite sound. Grant placed the paper back in the box. Not today. I'm not saying you have to decide today. You already put the decision in a dumpster. The house is too much for you. The house has been the same size since breakfast. Taxes went up. The back steps need replacing. That shop roof will need work inside 2 years. You've got a 3-bedroom house for one person and an outbuilding full of liability. June glanced past him. It was full of paid work this morning. Grant exhaled through his nose. That was Earl's old gesture, too, though Earl usually followed it by finding a better way to say whatever had annoyed him. Owen leaned against his pickup. Maybe Grant's right about refunds. With what money? The deposits. The deposits purchased the wood you sold. Silence returned. A gust moved through the open shop and rattled a forgotten strip of sandpaper across the floor. Grant looked at Owen. Dad didn't keep deposits separate. He kept the business account, June said. The business account has $3,800. The unfinished orders represent $6,100 in deposits. Materials were purchased for every one of them. That's terrible bookkeeping. No, that is how custom work is done. Customers pay for materials. The shop builds what was ordered. Grant glanced toward the house as if hoping someone with more authority might emerge from it. June lifted another sheet. The writing was hers. Nearly all the writing in the box was hers. Lauren Chase. Reception counter for her salon. Maple, 8 feet, curved corner on the customer side. Space underneath for a small refrigerator. Where is it? Parts of a counter were by the wall, Owen said. In the dumpster? Some of it. June closed the box. Take it out. Owen looked at her wrist brace. You can't be serious? Every piece with pencil writing comes out. Every drawer, every board with blue tape, any hardware in a paper bag. It took us 6 hours to fill that thing, Grant said. Then you've had practice. Mom, I have a showing at 4. June checked her watch. You have an hour and 20 minutes. Grant stared at her. As a boy, he had been capable of standing perfectly still until a disagreement exhausted everyone around him. At 47, he had added good shoes and a real estate license to the technique. It did not work this time. Owen climbed onto the fender of the dumpster first. All right, he muttered, but I'm not digging through food garbage. There is no food garbage. There's always food garbage. You rented it this morning, and somehow there'll be a bag of shrimp in the bottom. That's how dumpsters work. Under other circumstances, June might have smiled. Owen had always been funniest when nobody wanted him to be. Grant removed his loafers, placed them beneath the open hatch of his car, and climbed in after his brother wearing navy dress socks. June stood beside the dumpster and directed them. That's an offcut. Leave it. No, the other one. Owen, turn that board over. Does it say Nolan? It says no. The rest is under your hand. It says Nolan. Take it out. They recovered 3 unfinished drawers, 1 maple door frame, a paper sack of brass pulls, a bundle of thin oak slats, and the removable pigeonhole unit from Evelyn Price's desk. 1 walnut table leg had split where a piece of shelving landed on it. June set it gently beside the shop door. Grant's phone rang twice. The second time, he answered while standing knee-deep in the remains of his father's work. Yes, Mr. Bell, absolutely. 4 is perfect. He listened, looking at June. Actually, could we make it 4:15? Owen snorted. Grant threw a sanding sponge at him. For one brief second, they were 10 and 14 again, tormenting each other behind Earl's back while June pretended not to notice. Then Grant climbed out, brushed sawdust from his trousers, and became a man with appointments. I'll come back tomorrow, he said. We need to talk without everybody being upset. I'm not available tomorrow. For what? June picked up the metal order box. I haven't decided. Grant's face tightened. That's exactly the problem. You're about to make decisions because you're angry. You made yours because you were in a hurry. I made mine because someone had to think ahead. To what? He glanced toward the house again. June followed his eyes this time and noticed that the dead hydrangea heads had been cut from the bushes beside the porch. Grant must have done it earlier. Earl always left them until spring because birds pecked at the dried blooms through winter. Grant had cleaned those away, too. Call Dale Bruckner, June told Owen. Tell him nothing from that lumber rack gets cut until I see it. He paid for it. He paid you. It wasn't yours. Owen's jaw moved. June knew he needed money. She also knew he would rather have swallowed a wood screw than discuss it in front of Grant. I'll call him, he said. Grant opened his car door. And when these customers want their money back, then they'll speak to me. What are you going to tell them? June looked down at Earl's name, printed across the top of the order sheets. The type was dark blue, slightly crooked, because she had designed the form on their first home computer and fed the paper into the printer by hand. I'll tell them what happened, that their furniture got thrown away, that my sons cleared the shop without asking. Grant shut the door harder than necessary. The green dumpster remained in the driveway until almost 7. Owen stayed after Grant left and helped carry the recovered pieces inside. He moved carefully now, asking about every board. June answered when she could. Once he picked up a curved strip of ash and asked where it belonged. The bakery table. He ran his thumb along the grain. Dad talked about that one. He talked about all of them. No. I mean, to me. June waited. Owen set the strip on the assembly bench. He said those 3 sisters could argue about the color of rain. That sounds like them? He was worried the table would be too wide for their back door. He measured the door. Did it fit? He never built the top. Owen looked toward the empty space where the table saw had stood. Right. At dusk, he left with the compressor still in his truck. He did not offer to unload it, and June did not ask. There were limits to how much truth either of them could manage in one afternoon. She closed the workshop door and carried the order box into the kitchen. The house smelled faintly of the ham casserole Mrs. Bell had brought after the funeral. June had eaten it 4 nights in a row and still had enough left to defend a small fort. She cut a square, placed it on a plate, and put the plate in the microwave. Then the telephone rang. June watched it through 4 rings. Earl had always answered on the second. The machine clicked on. Hello, Mrs. Mercer. This is Evelyn Price. The woman paused. I'm sorry to bother you. I know this is an awful time. Earl had said he might have my desk ready by the end of the month, and I don't care about the date now, of course. I only wondered if you knew whether he'd started it. June looked through the kitchen doorway at the box on the table. The microwave beeped. On the answering machine, Evelyn sighed. There's something inside that desk I meant to explain to him. I suppose it doesn't matter. Call whenever you feel up to it. The line disconnected. June stood without moving until the microwave beeped again, more impatiently this time. Then she picked up the telephone and dialed Evelyn's number. Mrs. Price, she said when the woman answered. This is June Mercer. Tell me what Earl was supposed to leave inside. The mark is on the inside of the right-hand drawer, Evelyn said. Toward the back. Blue ink, shaped a little like Florida. June sat at the kitchen table and drew the order box closer. I remember it. You do? You showed it to us when you brought the desk in. There was a pause on the line. I showed Earl. You showed both of us. I was standing beside him. Oh? Evelyn sounded embarrassed rather than doubtful. Of course. June could see that afternoon clearly. Evelyn had removed the drawer and held it beneath the shop lights, one hand protecting the faded blot as if it might rub off. The desk had belonged to Miriam, the woman Evelyn had lived with for 32 years. Miriam had spilled a bottle of blue ink while studying for her nursing examinations. The blot had soaked through a stack of index cards and stained the bottom of the drawer. Earl had joked that Florida must have been larger in 1968. June had written, "Do not sand interior right drawer," in capital letters on the order. Earl said he could make everything work again without making it look new, Evelyn said. That was what I wanted. Miriam never owned anything that looked new for more than a week. He understood. I know this is terrible timing. It isn't. It certainly is. June glanced toward the dark window over the sink. Earl's reflection should have been there, passing behind her on his way to the refrigerator. Instead, she saw only her own face and the white wrist brace. Mrs. Price, I need to locate the desk. Another pause, different from the first. Locate it? My sons cleared the workshop today. They moved several pieces without understanding which ones belonged to customers. Do they have my desk? I believe so. You believe so? Yes. June had spent years translating Earl's optimistic language into dates, prices, and apologies. She would not ask Evelyn to accept the same fog from her. I will find out tonight, she said. I'll call you by 10 tomorrow morning. If the desk was damaged, I will tell you. If anything happened to that drawer, I'll tell you that too. Evelyn let out a slow breath. All right, and I'm sorry. Thank you for not telling me it's probably fine. June almost smiled. I don't know yet if it's fine. That's why I thanked you. After they hung up, June took out Evelyn's order. Beneath the carbon copy lay Earl's inspection notes, written on the back of an envelope from the electric company. Timbre sticking, 2 slats warped, left cubbies loose. June match color. The last 3 words were underlined twice. June ran her thumb over them. Earl's handwriting had grown less controlled during his final months, but his J still looked like an umbrella blown inside out. She called Owen. He answered over the sound of a television. Everything okay? Where is Evelyn Price's desk? Which one was that? The roll top? Oh. Grant took it. Why? He said it might be worth something. It's in the storage room behind his office. And the drawers? There was a rustle as Owen moved, followed by a muffled curse. I think they were in it. You think? I didn't inventory the drawers, Mom. No. Apparently nobody inventoried anything. That's fair. His easy agreement stole some of the force from her anger. Call Grant, she said. Tell him to bring it back before 10. You should call him. I'm asking you. Why? Because you helped him take it. Owen went quiet. June could hear canned laughter from his television, a whole room of invisible people amused by something she could not hear. All right, he said. I'll call. And Dale Bruckner? He hasn't cut the walnut. He said we can come look in the morning, but he bought the whole stack as a lot. He's not giving back the good boards for free. He shouldn't have to. You should repay him. With what? There it was, low and quick. June rested her fingertips on the metal lid. We'll discuss that when you're here. I'm not trying to cheat you. I didn't say you were. You didn't have to. Owen, I'll get the desk back. He ended the call before she could answer. The ham casserole had gone rubbery in the microwave. June ate it anyway, standing over the sink. Earl had hated eating at the counter. He claimed food tasted better when a person sat down, although he had eaten hundreds of sandwiches over a workbench with sawdust stuck to his sleeves. After washing her plate, June carried a flashlight out to the shop. The overhead lights still worked. Grant and Owen had swept around the benches, but not beneath them. A drift of fine maple dust remained near the east wall, mixed with 2 screws, a pencil stub, and one of Earl's peppermint wrappers. June picked up the wrapper and immediately felt foolish. She dropped it into the galvanized trash can. The recovered pieces had been stacked wherever Owen found room. June sorted them by order, writing customer names on fresh strips of blue tape. The walnut leg went on the Nolan bench. Lauren Chase's curved counterparts went near the wall. The brass pulls belonged to the matched bedside cabinets, though only 7 of the 8 were in the paper sack. The oak slats did not belong to any open order. She turned one over and found Earl, radio shelf, written on the back in her own hand. Useless man, she murmured. He had been promising to build that shelf for 14 years. She leaned the slats against the trash can. At the rear of the shop, the stain cabinet stood open. Grant had removed most of the cans, apparently deciding liquids were dangerous. But he had left a row of small glass jars on the top shelf. June had mixed samples in those jars, labeling each lid with a customer's name. Price was still there, a warm brown made from burnt umber, amber shellac, and 2 drops of red dye. June took it down. The color had settled into layers. She shook the jar with her left hand and watched the brown come alive again. For 10 minutes, she allowed herself to imagine finishing Evelyn's desk alone. The repair was not complicated by Earl's standards. Replace the warped tambour slats, tighten the cubbies, repair one drawer runner, clean the brass lock, match the finish where the old varnish had flaked away. Then she looked at the empty tool spaces. The narrow stock Earl had milled for the tambour was gone. So was the router table needed to shape replacements. His clamps had been taken, his sanding cabinet emptied, and the dust extractor disconnected. Even if Grant returned the desk undamaged, June could not complete the job with a jar of stain and righteous indignation. Her wrist throbbed beneath the brace. She set the price sample back on the shelf and went inside. At 8:30 the next morning, a white delivery van backed down the driveway. Grant climbed out wearing yesterday's loafers and a fresh expression of injury. Owen emerged from the passenger side. Together they opened the rear doors. Evelyn's roll-top desk stood inside beneath a gray moving blanket. June went directly to the drawers. "Good morning to you too," Grant said. The right-hand drawer stuck halfway. She eased it out, turned it over, and found the blue mark untouched. "Help me get it inside." Grant checked his watch. "I have a staff meeting, then you should lift from the left. It's lighter." Owen coughed into his fist to cover a laugh. They carried the desk into the shop using canvas straps. It was heavier than any of them remembered. Grant walked backward, issuing instructions. Owen ignored him. June held the workshop door and kept them from striking the frame. When they lowered the desk beside the front bench, Grant looked around at the labeled stacks. "You were out here last night?" "Yes, alone." "The boards behaved themselves." "I'm serious." "So am I." Grant pulled the moving blanket from beneath the desk and folded it with sharp, irritated snaps. "You cannot reopen this place," he said. "I haven't reopened anything. You're sorting jobs." They were already jobs. Dad was the business. June removed the right-hand drawer again and placed it safely on the bench. "Your father was the name on the door. He did the work. So did I." Grant stopped folding. Owen examined a knot in the assembly bench. June had not planned to say it. The sentence sounded both too small and too large once it was in the room. Grant recovered first. "I know you helped. Do you? You kept the books. You dealt with customers. Nobody is saying that didn't matter. The finish on your dining table, what about it? I did it. Okay. The built-in cabinets in your first office. Dad built those. Your father installed them. Ana Delgado built the face frames. I made the doors and finished the whole set." Grant gave a short, uncomfortable laugh. "Why are we arguing about cabinets from 15 years ago? Because you removed tools from my workshop and told me I couldn't use them." His face changed at the word "my." Owen stepped between them without appearing to. Dale said, 11:30 for the lumber. "I can't go at 11:30, Grant said. "You sold it," June said. "I arranged a clean-out. I didn't steal your lumber. You sold material purchased by customers, and I am trying to solve the larger problem. You keep saying there's a larger problem when what you mean is a larger decision you'd like to make." Grant draped the folded blanket over his arm. "Fine. What's your decision? You're going to finish 6 orders? With what equipment? At what cost? And then what? Sit alone in a 4,000 square foot house waiting for the roof to go?" The house was 2,600 square feet. Grant knew that. He had spent half his adolescence complaining that his bedroom was too small. "I have not asked you to solve the roof. You won't ask until it's an emergency. Maybe I'll surprise you. That's what worries me." The words came out more honestly than he intended. For a moment, he looked less like a salesman and more like a son who had watched his father die faster than anyone expected. June softened, but not enough to hand him her life. "I will call if I need help," she said. "You needed help yesterday." "No. Yesterday I needed you to ask." Grant looked toward the place where Earl's nameplate had hung. 4 screw holes remained in the metal door. "I'll see you at Dale's," he said, though none of them believed him. After he left, Owen returned the red air compressor to the corner. He did it without comment. At 9:55, a beige Buick turned into the driveway. Evelyn Price stepped out carrying a paper grocery bag and wearing a purple coat too light for the cold. She was a narrow woman with silver hair cut bluntly at her jaw. Her gaze moved from the dumpster to the empty shop, then settled on her desk. "I thought I should see it for myself," she said. June showed her the blue ink mark first. Evelyn touched the wood beside it, not the stain itself. "Well," she whispered, "there you are. The desk wasn't damaged when they moved it. That's something. The pigeonhole unit was thrown into the dumpster, but we recovered it. 2 dividers cracked. They can be replaced." Evelyn looked around again. "Can they?" June did not answer quickly enough. Evelyn set the grocery bag on the bench. Inside was a thermos and 2 wrapped sandwiches. "I brought lunch because grief makes people forget," she said. "But you look like you've remembered quite a lot. I can refund your deposit, not today, but I can arrange it. Is that what you want?" "What I want isn't the question. Whose question is it?" June rested her hand on the desk's worn curved front. Earl promised to finish it. Evelyn studied her. Did Earl promise, or did Mercer workshop? Before June could answer, a shadow crossed the open doorway. A woman in dark work pants stood outside, holding a battered canvas tool bag. Ana Delgado's black hair was threaded with more silver than June remembered, but her posture was exactly the same, weight slightly forward, as if every room contained a measurement nobody else had noticed. "Owen called me," Ana said. Her eyes traveled over the empty machine spaces, the recovered parts, and finally June's braced wrist. Tell me, she said, that you are not planning to do this alone. June looked at Owen. You called Anna? I panicked creatively. Anna stepped inside. The canvas bag struck her leg with each step, making a familiar metallic clink. She had carried the same bag when she worked for Earl, though it had been newer then and covered in fewer stitched repairs. Evelyn kept one hand on the open drawer. Anna nodded toward her. This yours? It is. You want it restored or made pretty? Restored. Good answer. Evelyn's mouth twitched. I've had practice giving it. Anna set down her bag and examined the desk without touching it. Her gaze followed the warped curve of the tambour, the damaged pigeonholes, and the worn finish along the writing surface. She crouched to look underneath, rose, then ran one finger over the back edge. Was it stored somewhere damp? Earl didn't think so, June said. Earl thought a roof leak didn't count as damp if he put a bucket under it. He fixed that leak, after the bucket rusted through. Evelyn watched them with interest. Anna lifted the tambour door. It traveled 4 inches and stuck. She did not force it. What did Earl promise you? She asked. That it would open without swearing, Evelyn said. That the lock would work, that the loose cubbies would be tightened, but nothing inside the right drawer would be sanded. Anna glanced at the blue blot. Miriam spilled ink, Evelyn explained. Then Miriam stays. The answer was so immediate that Evelyn's shoulders lowered. Anna turned to June. Where's the narrow oak Earl milled for the slats? Gone? Router table? Owen? He pointed vaguely toward his truck. I took the router. Grant sold the table. You took which router? The Bosch. The plunge base too? There were 2 black cases. I took both. Anna closed her eyes for a moment. Clamps? Dale got some. The rest went to the transfer station. Why? Owen looked toward June as if hoping she might explain him better than he could explain himself. We thought we were helping, he said. Anna opened her eyes. That sentence has killed more good lumber than termites. June should not have enjoyed that as much as she did. Evelyn turned the drawer upright and slid it into the desk. I'm not in a hurry. We should still give you a date, June said. No, you should give me the truth. The truth is we don't know yet. Then call me when you do. Anna pressed gently against one corner of the desk. The joints shifted less than June expected. 6 weeks, she said. June stared at her. Anna continued examining the desk. Assuming the missing parts can be replaced. Assuming the case isn't twisted. Assuming Mrs. Price doesn't mind that some repairs will show. I don't, Evelyn said. And assuming June doesn't promise 5 weeks the minute I leave. I wouldn't. Anna gave her a look. June amended, I would try not to. Evelyn took her grocery bag from the bench and removed one wrapped sandwich. She handed it to June. Call me in 6 weeks, she said. If it's not finished, tell me why. I can survive another honest answer. She offered the second sandwich to Anna. I ate, Anna said. It's turkey. I ate badly. Anna accepted it. At the door, Evelyn paused beside Owen. Your mother knows where every piece of my desk goes. Yes, ma'am. I'd keep that in mind before you throw away anything else. I'm done throwing things away. That's a start. After the Buick left, Owen checked the time. Dale's expecting us. Anna looked at June. Dale Bruckner? You know him? I know his work. He thinks caulk is a structural material. He bought the lumber rack. Anna stared at Owen. I didn't know who else to call, he said. Apparently you know my number. I found it online. You could have tried that before you sold seasoned walnut by the pound. Owen lifted both hands. I am fully informed now. Anna picked up her tool bag. I'll come. June did not move. Why? To keep Dale from explaining wood to you. I can manage Dale, I meant Owen. They rode in Owen's pickup because June's sedan could not carry lumber, and Anna's work van belonged to the hospital where she managed carpentry and building repairs. June sat in the passenger seat. Anna folded herself onto the narrow rear bench behind them, her tool bag braced between her boots. Owen drove with both hands on the wheel. I thought you worked at the university, he said. That was 9 years ago. Mom said you were doing facilities. I am. At a hospital? Yes. What do you build at a hospital? Mostly things nobody notices unless they fail. Cabinets, counters, door frames. Last month I built a lockable cart for a machine worth more than your house. Owen glanced in the mirror. My house is rented, then considerably more than your house. June looked out the window to hide her smile. Dale Bruckner operated from a sheet metal building behind an appliance warehouse. The walnut stood on stickers beneath an awning, still strapped in the bundle Owen and Grant had sold him. Several maple boards had been separated and marked in chalk. Dale came out wiping his hands on his sweatshirt. He was broad through the chest, with a beard that seemed to begin just below his eyes. "Sorry about Earl," he told June. "He was one of the old school guys. He was. Your boys said you wanted to buy some stock back. My boys sold material that belonged to active orders." Dale shifted his attention to Owen. Owen shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. "I told you we messed up. You said your mom changed her mind." "My mind was never consulted," June said. Dale's expression tightened. "I paid cash, and I'm not asking you to donate it." Anna walked to the bundle and read the pencil marks on the top board. Nolan, top 3, was written near the end. "This was milled for a table," she said. Dale followed her. "Lumber's lumber. No, trees are trees. Lumber has dimensions." "Do I know you?" "Anna Delgado." Recognition passed across his face. "You used to work for Earl. I used to work with Earl." Dale looked from her to June, recalculating the conversation. June had seen that happen before. Men who treated her as an inconvenient widow often became more careful after Anna spoke. Years ago, June had been grateful for the change without asking what it cost Anna to produce it. Anna went through the stack board by board. The walnut for Keith Nolan's table was mixed with Earl's general stock, but his pencil marks identified 6 top boards and 4 leg blanks. 2 additional pieces matched the bedside cabinets. The maple belonged to Lauren's counter and the pantry doors. "We don't need the whole rack," Anna said, "just the marked stock." Dale folded his arms. "I bought it as a lot." "For $1,200, June said. He looked at Owen again. "That was between us. And now this is between us. How much for the marked pieces? I've already got a use for the walnut. You bought it yesterday. I plan fast." Anna pulled one top board halfway from the bundle. "You plan to cut around this checking?" Dale leaned closer. A narrow split ran from the end, nearly hidden beneath Earl's chalk line. "I saw that," he said. "Of course." He rubbed his beard. 900. Owen made a noise. June raised one hand before he could speak. "For wood purchased with customer deposits, which you acquired from people who didn't own it?" "I didn't know that. I believe you." 700, 850. "Include the clamps." Dale looked toward the open building. "The blue bar clamps," Anna said. 6 4-foot, 4 3-foot. They came from the Mercer shop. Those weren't part of the lumber. "They were in the same load," Owen said. Dale scowled at him. "You said I could have the rack, not the clamps on it. You were taking pictures for your brother. I was having a difficult day." June looked at Owen. "That is not a defense." "I know. I just wanted it on the record." Dale agreed to 800 and the clamps. June wrote the check from the business account. Her hand remained steady, but subtracting the amount in her head made the shop feel colder. $3,000 left. They loaded the walnut first. Owen carried the heavy end, while Anna guided the boards into the truck bed. June handled the thinner maple pieces with her left hand until Anna noticed. "Doctors say you can lift?" "Not with the right. That wasn't my question. I can manage these." Anna took the boards from her anyway, but she did not tell June to sit down. Instead, she handed her a box of brass clamp pads and asked her to count them. There were 23. Earl had owned 24. June could picture the missing one on the floor beneath his old clamp rack, round and dull as a penny. On the drive back, Owen kept glancing at the check copy beside the gear shift. "I'll pay you back," he said. "The business," June corrected. "You'll pay the business back." "Okay. How much can you manage?" He hesitated. 100 a month. June knew what Grant would say. At that rate, the repayment would take nearly as long as one of Earl's unfinished household projects. "Starting next month," she said. Owen nodded. Anna said nothing from the rear seat. When they returned, the dumpster had been collected. A dark rectangular stain remained on the driveway where it had stood. The emptiness looked more permanent without it. They carried the rescued lumber into the shop and stacked it on stickers along the east wall. Anna insisted that the Nolan boards be laid in their original sequence. Earl's numbers ran from 1 to 6, but the grain did not flow correctly between boards 3 and 4. "He switched them," June said. Anna moved 4 ahead of 3. The grain joined into a dark sweeping line. "There," June said. Owen stood at the end of the stack. "You can tell that just by looking. Your father and I chose those boards together." He absorbed the answer without trying to improve it. I need to make some calls, he said. I'll bring the router cases tonight. When his truck was gone, Anna closed the workshop door halfway against the wind. June unwrapped Evelyn's sandwich. The bread had absorbed enough mustard to turn yellow at the edges. She cut it in two with Earl's utility knife and held out half. Anna accepted it. They ate standing beside the price desk, the way Earl used to eat despite everything he said about tables. You didn't call me when he got sick, Anna said. June lowered the sandwich. He didn't want people to know. I'm not people. No. You didn't call when the shop started falling behind. I thought we could catch up. We. June looked at the empty spaces around them. Yes. Anna wiped mustard from her thumb. Earl promised me partnership 3 times. I know. Every time he found a reason to wait. I know that too. And you let him. June could have said it was Earl's business. She could have said Anna was young then, that cash was tight, that nothing had been simple. All of it would have been true, and none of it would have answered her. Yes, June said. Anna folded the sandwich wrapper into a small square. If I help, I get paid by the hour. My name goes on every completed order. If there's profit after materials, we agree on my share before the work starts. I can do evenings and Saturdays. These 6 jobs only. June felt the urge to say they had always credited Anna. The old invoices in the box proved otherwise. All right, write it down. All right, and I'm not saving Earl's shop. June looked at Evelyn's desk, the rescued lumber, and the radio shelf leaning uselessly beside the trash can. No, she said, neither am I. Anna found a yellow legal pad beneath Earl's old telephone and tore off the top sheet. Hourly rate, she said. June named a figure. Anna shook her head. That's what Earl paid me 9 years ago. I know. I was hoping you'd forgotten. I remember every underpayment. June named a higher one. That's fair. Profit share, 30% to me on work I help complete, after new materials and rentals. Not after old overhead, funeral expenses, property taxes, or any creative definition of what the building costs you. I don't use creative definitions. You were married to Earl. That does not make me Earl. Anna looked up from the pad. That may be the first useful thing either of us has said. They wrote the terms in plain language. June added that Anna would approve any use of her name in advertisements or customer correspondence. I wasn't asking for that, Anna said. You should have. Anna studied her, then wrote it in. They both signed. Anna made June sign twice, so each of them could keep an original. There, June said. You're officially expensive. You have no idea. They began with the 6 order folders. Earl had kept his measurements on scraps of cardboard, envelopes, lumberyard receipts, and once on the paper wrapper from a pair of work gloves. June had transferred most of them onto clean sheets, though she had stopped doing so during his final hospital stay. Anna spread everything across the assembly bench. Price desk first, she said. Smallest material cost, quickest balance payment, then the pantry doors. Gail Foster has been waiting 4 months. Where are the center panels? Transfer station. Then Gail Foster will continue waiting. June pressed her lips together. Anna moved to the Nolan table. These top boards need another week inside before we mill them. Dale stored them under an awning, but the air was wet. Keith wanted the table before Thanksgiving. He also wants it flat after Thanksgiving. Next came the matched bedside cabinets for Raymond and Paul Pike. The brass pulls had been custom ordered from a small hardware company in Pennsylvania. 7 lay in the paper sack. Can we buy one? June asked. Maybe. If the pattern still exists. It existed 3 months ago. 3 months ago Earl was alive. The shop had tools, and there were 8 pulls. We are learning not to build plans around 3 months ago. June closed Raymond's folder a little harder than necessary. Anna noticed but did not soften. That was something June had once disliked about her. Earl could disappoint a customer and then charm him with a story. Anna treated disappointment like a measurement, unpleasant, fixed, and best-faced before cutting. The Ash Bakery table had the most complete drawings. Earl had sketched the top from 3 angles and filled the margins with arguments among the Morrow sisters. Denise, dark. Rochelle, not too dark. Anita, whatever won't show flower. Anna laughed when she read them. I remember those 3. They remember you. Anita asked whether you still worked here. What did Earl say? That you had moved to better things. That sounds like him. June heard the answer beneath the answer and let it remain there. Lauren Chase's reception counter took up the final folder. June found the room measurements, the refrigerator dimensions, and a sketch of the curved customer corner. Anna held the drawings together against the light. These don't agree. Which ones? The wall measurement is 98 1/4 here, 96 3/4 here. The first one must be from before Lauren moved the partition. Which one is first? Neither sheet was dated. June looked at Earl's pencil marks and felt the first clean edge of fear. The missing shop could be rebuilt in pieces. A mistake already inside the work was harder. "We'll measure again," she said. "We will not cut maple until we do." June spent the afternoon making calls. Raymond Pike answered on speakerphone, though June did not realize it until Paul commented from somewhere across the room. "We have milk crates," Paul said. "We can wait." "You are not using milk crates," Raymond called back. "They're very upscale milk crates." Raymond returned to the telephone. "Earl told us 6 weeks. I can't honor that date. Can you honor the cabinets?" June looked through the kitchen doorway toward the workshop. "Yes, then call when you know more." Keith Nolan was less patient. He had ordered the walnut table for a Thanksgiving gathering with his 2 sisters, the first time all 3 would sit together since an argument over their mother's estate. June knew none of the details, only that Keith had rejected Earl's first design because it placed him at the head. "I don't want a head," he had said. "Make it so nobody gets the throne." When June explained the delay, he was silent long enough for her to hear traffic through his end of the call. "So, what am I supposed to do?" he asked. "I can refund you, or I can give you a revised date after the lumber acclimates. Thanksgiving is in 5 weeks. I know, my sister's already booked flights. They can eat at another table. That's not the point." "No," June said. "It usually isn't." He exhaled. "Call me next Friday." Lauren Chase reacted with anger so controlled it came out in complete sentences. Her salon lease had begun. Every week without a reception counter was a week she greeted clients from a folding card table. "I paid Earl because he said he could meet the opening," she said. He should not have promised that date. He did promise it. Yes. June did not blame Death, Grant, Owen, or the missing maple. Lauren had paid the shop, not the Mercer family's circumstances. "I'll come measure tomorrow," June said. "After that, I'll tell you what can be done and what it will cost. If it won't work, I'll refund you. I don't want a refund. I want the counter. That is what I'm trying to determine." Gail Foster did want a refund. Her contractor had already ordered manufactured pantry doors after seeing the empty workshop that morning. Grant had apparently given him permission to retrieve a toolbox Earl had borrowed, and the man had reported that Mercer Custom Woodwork was closed. Gail's deposit was $900. "I'm sorry," June said. "I am too. I liked Earl, but I can't leave my pantry open for another month." "You shouldn't have to." June transferred $900 from the savings account she used for winter taxes and wrote Gail a check. She drove it over rather than making her wait for the mail. Gail lived in a narrow brick ranch with 3 concrete geese beside the front walk, all dressed in matching yellow raincoats. She opened the door before June reached the bell. "You didn't need to bring it." "Yes, I did." Gail took the envelope but did not open it. "Grant said you were selling." "Grant says many things." He sounded certain. He often does. A reluctant smile crossed Gail's face. June drove home with the canceled order on the passenger seat. At a red light, she wrote, "Canceled, refunded," across the front. Her hand shook on the second word. 5 orders remained. The winter tax account was $900 lighter. The business had spent $800 recovering its own lumber. Anna's wages would begin Saturday. Numbers had always calmed June. These did not. Owen brought the router cases after supper. One contained the Bosch router, plunge base, edge guide, and bits. The other held Earl's biscuit joiner. "I thought that was part of the router," Owen said. "It's a different tool. They're both blue. Your father owns 7 blue shirts. You managed to tell those apart. Not really." He also returned 2 sanders, a cordless drill, and a coffee can full of router collets he had nearly discarded. June showed him Gail's canceled order. His humor disappeared. "Because of us? Because she needed doors. Your cleanup helped her decide. I can add the $900 to what I owe. The shop owed that money. The business would have refunded her if Earl were alive. But the materials were lost because of you and Grant? Yes. That part belongs to you. How much of it? I don't know yet." Grant would have demanded a total, a deadline, and a signature. Owen seemed almost relieved that June did not have an answer. Saturday morning, Anna arrived at 7 with a portable table saw in the back of her car and 2 boxes of tools. She refused Owen's help unloading the saw until he asked instead of grabbing one end. "May I help you?" he said with theatrical care. "Yes." "Was that difficult? For you?" "Apparently." They set up near the front door for ventilation. June brewed coffee in the house and brought it out in Earl's dented green thermos. Anna poured 1 cup, tasted it, and stared at June. "What?" "This could strip finish. Earl liked it strong." "Earl is no longer available to defend this." Owen drank his without complaint, though his face tightened with every swallow. The first task was removing the tambour from Evelyn's desk. Anna showed June where 2 slats had separated from the canvas backing. 4 more had warped enough to bind inside the curved track. "Earl wrote 2, June said. "He was wrong. He may not have removed it yet. He wrote a repair estimate without removing it. He'd repaired dozens. And he was still wrong." June wanted to defend him. The impulse rose automatically, polished by decades of use. Instead, she bent closer to the wood. "All right, 6 slats." Anna selected oak from her own supply because the recovered bundle belonged to Earl's radio shelf and was the wrong thickness. She milled 1 test piece, checked the fit, then adjusted the router by less than the width of a pencil line. The machine's whine filled the workshop. June had not known how badly she needed to hear that sound until it stopped. Anna handed her the test slat. "Too tight," June said. "How much?" "Enough to catch after the finish goes on." Anna checked it in the track, then nodded. "Good." It was a small acknowledgement. June carried it carefully. They worked until noon. Owen cleaned the brass lock and managed to send a tiny spring across the floor. All 3 spent 15 minutes searching before June found it caught in the cuff of his jeans. "You said you weren't throwing anything else away," Anna told him. "I was transporting it." "On your ankle? It's a developing system." By 2, the new slats were shaped but not attached. June had cleaned years of wax from the writing surface and mixed a fresh stain sample against the old finish. Anna watched her adjust the color, 1 drop at a time. "You still do it by eye," she said. "How else would I do it? Most people would buy a can marked walnut and ruin the desk. Most people shouldn't touch Evelyn's desk." Anna smiled faintly. A car door closed outside. Grant entered the shop without knocking, followed by a well-dressed couple June had never seen. The woman held a leather folder. The man was already looking up at the roof trusses. Grant stopped when he saw the saw, the lumber, and Anna. "I thought you'd be finished by now," he said. Anna looked at the clock. "We're taking longer than expected." The woman laughed politely, assuming a joke had been made. June set down her stain dropper. "Who are these people?" Grant's confidence faltered only briefly. "Tom and Leslie Warren. They own the commercial property on Mason. They're considering downsizing." Leslie Warren looked from June to Grant. "We were told the outbuilding was available to view." "It isn't," June said. Grant's jaw tightened. "They're not making an offer. I'm showing you what the possibilities are. You brought strangers into my workshop to show me my possibilities? Mom, please." June wiped her hands on a rag and walked to the open door. "Mr. and Mrs. Warren, my son has wasted your time. This property is not listed, and neither the house nor this workshop is available to view." Tom Warren looked at Grant. Leslie closed her folder. Grant's face went red, but Leslie's did not. "I understand," she said. "I'm sorry we intruded. You didn't know." The couple left without examining anything else. Grant waited until their car backed from the driveway. That was humiliating. June looked at the keyring hanging from his belt. "Yes," she said. It was. That afternoon, after Anna and Owen had gone, June called a locksmith. The locksmith arrived in a blue van with a cartoon key painted on the side. His name was Leonard, and he spoke to every lock before touching it. "Well, what have you been through?" he murmured at the workshop deadbolt. June stood beside him with her arms folded against the cold. "Can you change it?" "I can change anything that admits it has a problem." He rekeyed the workshop, the back door, the front door, and the side entrance off the laundry room. When he handed June 4 new keys, she separated them onto 2 rings. One went into her purse. The other she placed in the kitchen drawer, where Earl used to keep spare batteries and restaurant coupons. She did not call either son. Leonard's bill was $286. June wrote the check from her household account and thought about Gail Foster's $900, the recovered lumber, and the first winter tax installment due in 7 weeks. Autonomy, she was discovering, came with invoices. Grant found out about the locks the following afternoon. June heard his key scraping in the back door while she was stirring gravy. He tried it 3 times, then knocked with the flat, official rhythm he used at houses he was showing. She let him wait through the 4th knock. When she opened the door, he was holding a new aluminum gutter guard under one arm and a grocery bag under the other. "My key doesn't work. That's right. You changed the locks." "Yes." "Without telling me." June stepped aside. "You've figured it out now." Grant entered but did not remove his coat. The grocery bag contained coffee, laundry detergent, and the cinnamon cookies June liked but never bought for herself. The gutter guard was the correct size for the section above the kitchen window, which had clogged every fall since Earl stopped climbing ladders. Grant set both items on the counter. "What if there's an emergency? I'll call you. What if you can't? What sort of emergency disables my telephone but leaves you standing outside with exactly the right key? That is not the point. It is very close to the point." He looked toward the workshop window. The portable saw was gone, taken home by Anna, but Evelyn's desk stood beneath the lights with its tambour laid out on the bench. "I apologize to the Warrens," he said. That was appropriate. They weren't going to make an offer. They were examining the roof trusses. Tom examines everything. He looked under the table at lunch. "I don't want him looking under my table either." Grant pulled out a chair but did not sit. "I was trying to show you that there are options. You hear the word sell and act as if I'm pushing you into traffic. You brought buyers before I said I wanted buyers. They're not buyers if nothing is listed. Then why did Leslie have a property folder? She carries folders." June stared at him. "All right," he said. "She had information about comparable buildings." "Grant?" "But only because I asked her to consider what the workshop might be worth separately. It is not separate. It could be. So could the kitchen. I'm not selling that this week either." He finally sat down. For a few seconds, the anger left his face and revealed how tired he was. His collar had frayed at one point near the neck, something June had never seen on one of his dress shirts. "I need to know you have a plan," he said. "I have one. Finishing Dad's orders is not a plan. It's penance." The gravy bubbled too hard. June turned off the burner. "You think I'm doing this because I feel guilty? I think you don't know what to do without him, and the shop gives you something familiar to be angry about." It was cruel enough to be partly true. June picked up the wooden spoon and tapped it once against the pan, and clearing it gave you something familiar to control. Grant looked at the floor. She had expected a defense. His silence made the kitchen uncomfortable in a new way. "What's happening with your office?" she asked. His head came up. "Nothing. The collar of your shirt is frayed. What does that have to do with my office? You would normally retire a shirt before it developed a memory." He almost smiled. "Business is slow." "How slow? Not sell the shirt slow." "Then why are you counting my square footage?" The softness disappeared. "I'm not asking you for money. I didn't say you were. You implied it. No, you heard it." Grant stood. "Keep the cookies. I intended to." He walked to the door, then turned back toward the gutter guard. "I can install that while I'm here." "No, Mom, it'll take 10 minutes. You're angry. It's getting dark, and ladders don't improve either condition. I'm not helpless. Neither am I." His mouth tightened, but after a moment he set the gutter guard against the wall. "Call me when you're ready," he said. "I will." June watched him leave without asking for a new key. The next morning, Anna met her at Lauren Chase's salon. The business occupied the ground floor of a converted brick house near downtown. A painted sign leaned against the wall waiting to be hung, and the reception area smelled of fresh plaster, hair color, and the lavender candle Lauren had placed on the folding card table. Lauren wore black from neck to ankle and had copper-colored hair swept into a knot. She shook Anna's hand, then pointed toward the empty space along the front wall. "That is where $4,300 of counter is supposed to be. $2,150 of it," June said. "The rest is due at completion." "Thank you, June. The empty space feels much more affordable now." Anna hid a smile by opening her tape measure. Lauren had moved the partition before Earl's final visit, but not after it. The available wall measured 96 3/4 inches. Earl's drawing placed the finished counter at 98 1/4. Anna checked twice. "The longer measurement wasn't from the old partition," June said quietly. "The old wall gave us 104. "Then, where did 98 come from?" Lauren asked. June examined Earl's sheet. A faint coffee ring crossed the top corner. He had written the number once, then traced over it, darkening the 8. I don't know. Anna measured the refrigerator alcove. This is 31 inches. The refrigerator is 30, Lauren said. With hinges and clearance, it needs 32 and a half. Earl measured the refrigerator himself. Yes, June said. He did. Lauren folded her arms. So even if my wall grew an inch and a half, the refrigerator wouldn't fit. No. A stylist passed through carrying towels and glanced at the three women. Lauren waited until she was gone. I delayed opening 2 weeks because of this counter. I know. I'm currently locking cash in a tackle box under a card table. You shouldn't be. No, I should have the thing I bought. Anna took Earl's sketch from June and turned it over. The curved customer front is what causes the trouble. He laid out the curve for the longer footprint. If we force it into this space, the inside work surface becomes too shallow near the refrigerator. Can you remake it? Lauren asked. Yes. How long? And for how much? June added. Anna looked at her. The rescued maple had cost them twice, once through Lauren's deposit and again to retrieve it from Dale. Remaking the curved pieces would require more stock, rented shop time for a larger shaper, and hours Earl had never included in his price. June knew the answer before Anna gave it. More than the remaining balance, Anna said. Lauren laughed once without humor. Wonderful. We will not charge you more for correcting our mistake, June said. Anna's head turned sharply. June kept her eyes on Lauren. What we can do, Anna said carefully, is use the existing curved face as a shorter transaction section. The work side would be straight, the refrigerator would move 6 inches left, and we'd add a narrow open shelf where Earl planned a drawer bank. I ordered drawers. You'd keep 2. You'd lose the narrow third drawer, the one for appointment cards. Lauren picked up a spiral appointment book from the folding table and held it against her chest. June looked at the room through Lauren's eyes. The new paint, the unhung sign, the cardboard boxes shoved behind chairs. This was not decorative furniture. It was the place from which Lauren meant to run her livelihood. We can build a separate card box from the offcuts, June said. It could sit beneath the register and lift out. Lauren looked toward the empty wall. How long? 3 weeks, Anna said. 2. 3 if you want drawers that open. 2.5. Anna glanced at June. You negotiate with everyone? Lauren lowered the appointment book. Only people standing between me and furniture. 18 days, Anna said. If the electrical outlet is moved by Tuesday. Lauren held out her hand. Anna shook it. June did too. Back in the parking lot, Anna waited until Lauren went inside. You offered to absorb the cost before we calculated it. It was our error. It was Earl's error. Earl was the shop. That is very convenient now. June opened her car door, but did not get in. What would you have me do? Tell Lauren the man who mismeasured is dead? So the extra maple is her problem? No. I would have you know whether keeping a promise will bankrupt the next promise. The sentence struck harder because Anna said it quietly. We'll calculate it, June said. We'll calculate all of them. Today. At the workshop, they laid out the 5 remaining budgets. The numbers were worse once Anna assigned realistic hours to the work. Earl had priced his own labor as if evenings cost nothing. He had not included June's finishing time at all. The Nolan table could still make a modest profit. Raymond and Paul's cabinets might break even if the missing pull could be found. Evelyn's desk would earn enough to cover Anna's wages and little more. The bakery table had been underpriced by nearly $1,000. Lauren's revised counter would lose at least $600. June stared at the columns. He wasn't always like this, she said. Anna sat across from her on the second bench. No. After the first surgery, he got behind. He kept taking deposits because the business account needed them. And you kept straightening the books. I thought if we reach spring, it's October. I know what month it is. Anna's expression softened, though her voice did not. You protected him so well nobody knew the shop was sick, too. June looked down at Earl's underlined note on Evelyn's folder. June matched color. He knew what I did, she said. I know. That should count for something. It does. Anna paused. It just doesn't count as pay. They worked on Evelyn's tambour until the light outside turned gray. June attached the new slats to fresh canvas while Anna repaired the track. When they guided the tambour back into the desk, it stuck halfway. June felt the failure in her throat. Anna removed it, shaved a fraction from one replacement slat, and tried again. This time the tambour rolled upward in one smooth, quiet curve. June lowered it, raised it, lowered it again. Anna leaned against the bench. Planning to wear it out before delivery? I'm checking. You've checked 4 times. 5? June raised it once more, listening to the wooden slats travel through the curve without catching. For the first time since the green dumpster appeared in her driveway, something in the workshop moved exactly as it should. Evelyn's desk needed 3 more coats of finish. June applied the first one on Monday evening after Anna left. She opened the workshop doors 6 inches for ventilation, turned on a box fan, and worked beneath the hanging fluorescent lights. Earl had preferred a brush. He claimed brushing gave him time to think, though it also gave him time to leave bristles in corners and blame the manufacturer. June used a folded cotton pad. She worked around the worn places instead of burying them. A pale crescent where Miriam's wrist had rested remained visible. So did a thin scratch across the writing surface and 2 black pinpricks beside the lock. The new stain disappeared into the old brown without making the desk look dipped in syrup. June stood back. "Too red," she said. She adjusted the next coat with half a drop of burnt umber. When Anna arrived Wednesday, she walked around the desk twice. "Where's the repair?" That is a rude question. It's a professional question. Left side of the writing surface, 6 inches from the edge. Anna bent until her face was nearly level with the wood. "You matched the oxidation. I matched the color." "No, you matched what the color became after 50 years. Earl usually went too warm. Earl liked warmth. Earl liked orange." June capped the stain jar. "You may compliment my work without insulting a dead man." "I can, but where's the fun?" They installed the repaired pigeonhole unit and tested every drawer. The right one still stuck at the back. Anna reached for a plane, but June stopped her. "It always did that." "It's supposed to?" Evelyn said. Miriam yanked it sideways when it caught. "Look at the wear on the runner." Anna examined the underside. "If we fix it completely, the drawer will feel different," June said. "That is generally the point of repair." "Not this time." Anna slid it in and out, feeling the slight hesitation. "We ease it enough that it won't jam. We leave the hitch." "Exactly. You and Evelyn are strange women. You've met us both. This shouldn't be news." They delivered the desk Friday morning in Owen's pickup. He had borrowed moving blankets and a ramp from a friend, then arrived 40 minutes early because he was afraid June would ask somebody else. Anna had to work at the hospital, so June placed a copy of the invoice on the desk before they wrapped it. Beneath the itemized repair, she had typed, "Restoration, completed by June Mercer and Anna Delgado. Delivery assistance by Owen Mercer." Owen read it while holding a roll of packing tape. "You put me on the invoice. You helped. I lost a spring. You found it. Your cuff found it. Would you prefer I remove your name?" He looked at the paper again. "No." Evelyn lived on the 2nd floor of a brick condominium building with an elevator that smelled of carpet cleaner. The desk cleared the elevator door by less than an inch. Owen maneuvered it backward down the hall while June guarded the tambour and apologized to a potted fern. Evelyn had prepared a place beneath the living room window. The old desk left pale marks in the rug where it had stood before Earl collected it. Once it was level, she raised the tambour. It traveled smoothly. She lowered it, then opened the right-hand drawer. The drawer paused at the familiar place before sliding free. Evelyn looked at June. "You left that. We eased the runner. It shouldn't jam now. But it still catches. You asked us not to make it new." Evelyn turned the drawer over. Her thumb hovered beside the blue ink blot. Owen busied himself folding blankets. "Miriam used to pull this drawer so hard the whole desk shook," Evelyn said. "Every time, I told her she was going to break it. She said it had survived longer than either of us and didn't need my protection." "She sounds sensible," Owen said. "She was impossible." Evelyn's smile arrived before the tears did. She wiped them away with the heel of her hand and seemed annoyed by the interruption. June waited. She had learned at the funeral that people often handed tissues to stop grief rather than absorb it. Evelyn replaced the drawer and sat at the desk. The writing surface lowered with a soft wooden knock. "You did this finish?" she said. "Yes." "How can you tell?" Owen asked. Earl's sample boards always came back slightly orange. June looked at the ceiling. Evelyn laughed. "He did love orange." She wrote a check for the remaining balance and made it payable to Mercer Custom Woodwork. Before handing it over, she added $75. "The invoice doesn't say that," June said. "The invoice also doesn't charge for locating my furniture after it wandered away. We don't charge customers for our mistakes, then call it a delivery tip." Owen delivered it. Evelyn looked at him. Owen raised both palms. I am not getting between you. Evelyn tore a second check from the book for him. He tried to refuse until she pointed out that the desk outweighed all three of them, and the elevator had not carried it upstairs by moral support. In the parking lot, Owen held the check as if it were an official commendation. $50. You earned it. I almost sold her desk. And then you brought it back. That doesn't cancel the first thing. No. He folded the check into his wallet. I'm starting to understand why people hate honest answers. At the bank, June deposited Evelyn's payment into the business account. The number on the receipt remained modest, but it was higher than it had been that morning. Back at the workshop, she stamped paid across Evelyn's order sheet. Earl had ordered the stamp years ago after growing tired of writing the word. The red ink pad had dried around the edges, so June pressed hard. The first impression came out faint. She inked it again and stamped beneath the first. Paid. She moved Evelyn's folder to the back of the box. Lauren Chase's folder waited on top. The salon counter consumed the next 8 days. Anna borrowed a track saw from work with written permission. June rented time at a cabinet shop across town to shape the revised maple front. The owner charged by the hour and watched the clock with the personal attention of a man timing an egg. Owen came after work to sand drawer boxes. He sanded the first one so enthusiastically that Anna took it away from him. You've rounded the corner. It was sharp. It was square. People prefer smooth things, not when they have to fit beside other things. She gave him a stack of interior panels where his enthusiasm could do less harm. June worked on the finish and built Lauren's removable appointment card box from offcuts. The box was simple, with a finger joint at each corner and a curved divider that echoed the counterfront. Earl would have added a little brass label holder. June left it plain. Grant did not visit the workshop, but he came Sunday morning to install the gutter guard. He telephoned first. June stood at the bottom of the ladder while he worked. He wore jeans and an old college sweatshirt, clothing that made him look younger until he turned and the sun caught the gray at his temples. You don't have to watch me, he said. I'm holding the ladder. I've installed hundreds of these. You sell houses. I maintain my listings. Do the owners know? He looked down. That was almost a joke. I haven't lost every ability. Owen arrived while Grant was still on the ladder. He carried a white envelope and a cardboard tray of coffees. I brought payment, he said. Grant glanced from the envelope to June. Payment for what? The lumber. You're paying her for the lumber? I sold it. We sold it. Then you can contribute. Grant climbed down. Mom didn't tell me she expected repayment. I'm telling you now, June said. He took the envelope from Owen, opened it, and counted 5 $20 bills. $100 isn't repayment. It's the first month. You're setting up installments? I am. Grant looked offended by the existence of an arrangement he had not designed. How much do I owe? We don't know the final loss yet. How can he pay if you don't know? He owed at least $800 for buying back the marked wood. We agreed he would begin there. Grant handed the envelope to June. Then I owe $400. You arranged the sale, Owen said. You owe more. You loaded half of it. I also climbed into the dumpster after Mom caught us. June took the envelope before it became evidence in a trial. You both owe for what was lost, she said. We'll calculate it. Grant looked toward the workshop. How much are these orders costing? More than Earl charged. I told you. You told me to refund them by selling my house. That was not financial advice. He flinched. Owen distributed the coffees. Grant's was plain, June's had cream, and Owen had bought something covered with whipped cream that looked less like coffee than a dare. They stood beneath the repaired gutter and drank in silence. After a while, Grant said, Dad missed the opening of my first office because he was finishing somebody's kitchen. June remembered. Grant had leased 2 rooms above a pharmacy and invited them to a small reception. Earl had arrived after the last guest left, carrying a potted plant and smelling of lacquer thinner. He regretted that. He said the finish was already mixed. It was. Grant stared into his cup. That always sounded like a ridiculous excuse. It was also true. You always did that. Did what? Made his excuses sound practical. June felt the accusation settle into places Anna had already disturbed. Owen scraped whipped cream from his lid. Dad missed things for the shop. He missed people, Grant said. So did we. You weren't there. I was there enough. Grant looked ready to answer, then seemed to decide the driveway was not large enough for the argument. He set down his cup and picked up the ladder. I'm putting this away. Garage wall, June said. He carried it toward the side of the house, then stopped. Do you still have Dad's maker stamp? In the finishing drawer, the one with his name? Yes. Grant nodded, though June had not offered it. That evening, Anna and June fitted Lauren's drawers into the revised counter. The first slid cleanly, the second rubbed at the back left corner. The case is out of square, Anna said. June checked the diagonal measurements. They differed by 1/8 of an inch. Floor at the salon slopes, she said. Then we adjusted installation. Not here. They removed the drawer and marked the correction. Anna noticed June rubbing her right hand. Stop. I can finish this edge. You've been saying that for 20 minutes. My hand is fine. Your hand is lying. June set down the sanding block. The knuckles looked swollen beneath the shop lights. Anna pulled 2 stools from beside the wall. They sat facing the nearly completed counter. I hate stopping before something is finished, June said. That's how Earl got 6 orders behind. The words were blunt, but Anna placed a cold bottle of water against June's hand. June held it there. Across the shop, the smooth maple front caught the light in a long, pale curve. It was not the counter Earl had drawn. It had fewer drawers, a shorter reach, and a removable box where a fixed compartment should have been. It might work better. June was still deciding whether that felt like loyalty or betrayal when the telephone rang. Anna answered with sawdust on her sleeve. Mercer Workshop, she said. Then her expression changed. She held the receiver out to June. It's Keith Nolan, she said. He wants his table by Thanksgiving, or he wants all his money back. June took the receiver. Keith? I gave you until Friday. It is Friday. It is 6:30. I've been here all day. That makes one of us. His voice had the tight, bright quality of a man speaking from inside his car. A turn signal clicked behind him. I need an answer, he said. My sisters arrived the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. If the table isn't happening, I need to buy something. The walnut is back in the shop. Back? June closed her eyes. Anna sat on the opposite stool, the cold water bottle still in her hand. The lumber was moved after Earl died, June said. We recovered it. Was it damaged? One board has checking at the end. We won't know how much usable length remains until it's milled. You told me it needed to acclimate. It did. So mill it. That requires equipment we don't currently have. Keith made a sound that was not quite a laugh. Mrs. Mercer, I have tried to be patient. You have. I paid $2,200. Yes. My sisters are not patient people. I don't know how to help with that. Anna lowered her face to hide a smile. Keith's turn signal stopped. Can you build the table by Thanksgiving? June looked at Earl's drawing pinned beside the lumber rack. 92 inches long, 42 wide, no formal head. A trestle base to keep the corners open. 2 extension leaves Keith had insisted he would never use, but Earl had included anyway. If she said yes, Anna would spend the next 3 weeks repairing her promise. I can tell you Monday, June said. You said Friday. Friday was before we opened the walnut. Then open it. Come tomorrow morning at 9. You can see what we have and hear the answer with me. I don't need to see lumber. You do if you want the truth before the table. He was silent. 9, he said, and hung up. Anna placed the receiver in its cradle. That was almost responsible. Almost? You invited the customer to watch us discover whether his order is possible. He thinks the table already exists except for us being slow. He may still think that after he sees 6 boards. June picked up her sanding block. Anna took it away. You're done. We need Lauren's counter ready to install. It is ready enough to become tomorrow morning's problem. Keith is tomorrow morning's problem. No, Keith is 9 o'clock. Lauren is 7. I made a schedule. Without asking me, you would have said yes to both anyway. At 7 the next morning, Owen backed his pickup to the workshop door. He had brought blankets, straps, and 3 egg sandwiches wrapped in foil. Anna inspected his straps before approving them. They're rated for 1,200 pounds, he said. Your judgment was recently rated for less. I've made improvements. They loaded the salon counter in 3 sections. June carried the removable card box in her lap during the drive so it would not be scratched. Lauren was waiting beside the propped-open salon door. The electrical outlet had been moved. A fresh patch of joint compound surrounded it. My electrician charged me $180 to shift that 6 inches, she said. June looked at the outlet. He was here 20 minutes. 16. I timed him. Wrong profession, Owen muttered. Installation took 2 hours. The floor sloped more than Earl's notes indicated, dropping nearly half an inch toward the front window. Anna trimmed the toe kick while June shimmed the cabinet bases. Owen lay beneath the counter to feed wires through the access hole and emerged with plaster dust in his hair. The revised curved front fit the room as if it had been intended from the beginning. The narrower refrigerator space gave Lauren more room behind the styling chairs. The 2 drawer fronts aligned cleanly after Anna adjusted the case. June placed the appointment card box beneath the register. Lauren lifted it out, turned it over, and ran her thumb along the finger joints. This wasn't in the drawing. You lost a drawer, June said. So you made this? Yes. Lauren slid the dividers into 3 different positions. I can carry it to the back room. That was the idea. I was going to have Earl add a handle to the drawer. June had not known that. We can add one to the box, she said. No. Lauren returned it to the shelf. I like it like this. She walked around the counter, opening every door and drawer. At the curved corner, she leaned against the customer side and looked toward the salon mirrors. It's shorter than what I ordered. Yes. It took longer. Yes. And my refrigerator is now 6 inches from where I wanted it. Yes. Lauren looked at the removable box again. It's also better than the folding table. That was a low bar. It was a very angry folding table. She paid the remaining balance. She did not add a tip or offer a testimonial. She did, however, place Earl's original drawing beneath the counter instead of throwing it away. On the drive back, Anna calculated the job on the rear of an envelope. $643 loss, she said. Could be worse. That is not how profit works. We kept the customer. Customers are wonderful. They cannot replace money unless we charge them enough. Owen glanced at June. She talks like Dad. No, June said. Your father avoided exact numbers once they became disagreeable. Anna tapped the envelope against the seat. We need one profitable order before the bakery table, or you'll be paying wages from your household account. The Nolan table, if it can be done at the original price. Keith's car was already in the driveway when they returned. He stood inside the workshop with his coat unzipped, studying the walnut boards. He was in his late 50s, narrow-faced and restless, with reading glasses hanging from a cord around his neck. Earl had called him a man who measured his own patience and always found other people over budget. Which board is damaged? He asked. Anna pointed to number 6. She had marked the checking with chalk. The split ran 9 inches into the end. Once the boards were trimmed to final length, there would be little allowance for matching the grain. We can shorten the table to 86 inches, Anna said. That gives us clean material. I ordered 92. Yes. Earl said 92 would seat all of us without anyone at the end. It will, June said. 86 could too, depending on the chairs. I brought the chairs here. He measured them. June found the measurement sheet. Keith had chosen armless chairs, 21 inches wide. 3 on each long side at 86 would be tight, she said. Exactly. We can replace the damaged board, Anna said. Matching this color and grain may take time. And money, Keith said. Yes. How much? We don't know until we find the board, June said. He removed his glasses from the cord and put them on, as though the lumber might become more cooperative under scrutiny. My sisters will say I should have bought a table from a store. Would they be wrong? Owen asked. June turned toward him. What? Stores have tables. Keith surprised them by laughing. My older sister Denise thinks anything custom is an excuse to spend money. Rochelle thinks store furniture is why civilization is collapsing. Which one are you trying to please? Anna asked. Neither. Then why does the table have to be ready when they arrive? Keith walked to Earl's drawing. Our mother died 4 years ago. Denise handled the estate because she lived closest. Rochelle accused her of keeping things before the rest of us could choose. They stopped speaking. I tried to stay neutral, which made both of them decide I agreed with the other. June knew that kind of neutrality. It often required more effort than choosing a side and earned less gratitude. Thanksgiving was my idea, Keith continued. The table was supposed to make it different. A table can give people somewhere to sit, June said. It can't make them behave once they get there. I know that. Do you? He looked at her. You invited me to inspect wood at 9 on a Saturday. I'm beginning to. Anna moved the 6 boards into sequence. The grain flowed dark and broad across the first 5, then broke at the checked end of the 6th. We could use a contrasting strip, she said. Narrow piece of maple down the center. It would give us the width and preserve the length. Keith shook his head immediately. No stripe. Then we find walnut. Earl chose those boards because they came from one tree. He did, June said. He said they belonged together. June looked at the split in number 6. Earl had written Nolan, top across it before the checking opened. The wood had changed after he chose it. Pretending otherwise would not put it back. We can replace the board, she said. It won't be from the same tree, but June can match the color. Keith glanced at Anna. Why did you say her name like that? Because she can. June felt the compliment before she found a place to put it. Keith removed his glasses. Monday, he said. Tell me Monday whether you found one. If you can give me 92 inches by Thanksgiving, do it. If you can't, refund me. After he left, Anna checked 3 lumber suppliers. The first had walnut, but nothing wide enough. The second had a promising board at nearly $400. The third would not open until Monday. June ran the numbers. If we spend $400, the profit is gone. Not all of it, Anna said. If we mill at Rusk's and nothing else goes wrong, something else will go wrong. That is the first truly experienced thing you've said. Owen lifted the damaged board from the stack. What happens to this one? We use the clean portion for the bedside cabinets, June said. Anna nodded. That saves us buying stock for Raymond and Paul. One ruined piece becoming useful elsewhere should have felt like relief. Instead, June saw how narrow their margins had become. Every board now had 2 promises pressed against it. Her telephone rang in the house before she could say so. Grant was on the answering machine when June reached the kitchen. Mom, call me. It's about Dad's machines. She picked up. I'm here. Grant hesitated. The man who bought the cabinet saw is selling it again. For how much? More than we got. How much more? $1,100. June sat at the table. They had sold the saw, planer, and drill press together for $900. Where is the planer? She asked. I don't know. Find out. Do you want the saw? Through the window, she could see Anna and Owen standing over the walnut, waiting for her answer. Earl had bought that saw used 26 years ago. June knew its fence, its stubborn height wheel, and the exact place the motor whined before a belt needed tightening. She also knew $1,100 could erase the remaining profit from Keith's table, and more. No, she said. Grant was quiet. We'll rent what we need, June told him. I'm not buying my own life back one machine at a time. Grant did not answer immediately. I didn't say you had to buy it, he said. You asked if I wanted it. I thought you might. I wanted it yesterday before you sold it. I understand that. No, you understand the price. That isn't the same thing. He inhaled, held it, then released it without arguing. The planer went to a man named Ed Kessler, he said. He makes wooden signs out near Cicero. I left him a message. Thank you. The drill press is still with the auction company. Which auction company? I'll send you the number. June traced the edge of Earl's order box. Don't buy anything. I won't. And don't promise anyone I will. I heard you. He sounded tired again. Grant, if your office is in trouble, it's slow. It isn't in trouble. Those are not opposites. I didn't call to discuss my office. You called to discuss equipment you sold from mine. The silence that followed was not angry. It was simply full. I'll bring you $400 tomorrow, he said. June looked through the window at Owen. Your share may be more, then calculate it. We are. Good night, Mom. Good night. The next morning, Grant slid an envelope through the mail slot before June came downstairs. $400 and a note written on the back of one of his business cards for material recovered from Dale. Not an admission that this project makes sense. June turned the card over and wrote beneath his message, Received. Not an admission that you do. She put it in the order box with Owen's first payment. On Monday, the third lumber supplier sent photographs of 4 walnut boards. Anna dismissed 2 from the pictures. June asked the yard to hold the others until they arrived. The supplier occupied a drafty warehouse where boards stood upright in long bins like books too heavy to read. The owner, Sam Patel, pulled out the 2 pieces and laid them across sawhorses. One was wide enough, but too purple. The other had a cathedral pattern near the center that fought the calm sweep of Earl's 6 boards. They'll darken, Sam said. They'll darken differently, June replied. Anna tipped the second board toward the overhead door. A gray morning light moved across the grain. This side, she said. June shook her head. Too busy. We can rip out the center. Then it isn't wide enough. Sam watched them. I've got another stack in back, but it's rough stock. 10 quarter. We need 8 quarter, Anna said. I'll charge you for 10. Of course you will. The rough board was dusty, heavy, and almost ugly until Sam brushed mineral spirits across one corner. Beneath the gray surface, the grain ran long and restrained, with a dark line that could be placed along the outside edge of Keith's table. June bent closer. That one. Anna studied it from both ends. It may move when we mill it, so may I. You cost less to flatten. Sam quoted $370. June offered $320. He looked offended enough that she knew they were close. They settled at $345, and he included delivery to Rusk's cabinet shop. At 5:30 Tuesday morning, June met Anna outside Rusk's. Frost silvered the grass along the parking lot. Owen arrived 5 minutes later, carrying 3 coffees and no whipped cream. I am evolving, he announced. Sam Rusk opened the side door, wearing canvas overalls, and an expression that suggested sunrise was a personal insult. He had rented them 2 hours before his crew arrived. The machines had to be cleaned afterward, and anything broken would cost more than the Nolan table. Earl would have tried to pay me in lunch, Sam said. Earl believed sandwiches were currency, June replied. He still owes me a meatball sub. File a claim. Sam's eyes moved over her, measuring what grief had altered. He did not offer condolences. June appreciated him for it. They surfaced the replacement board first. After the first pass through the planer, it bowed upward nearly a quarter inch. Anna put both hands on the machine bed. There it is. Can we flatten it? Owen asked. Yes, Anna said, but we'll lose thickness. How much do we need? June checked Earl's drawing. Finished top is 1 5/8 inches. They planed one face, allowed the board to rest while they jointed the original 6, then returned to it. The ball eased. By 7:15, the board lay flat at 1 11/16. Enough, Anna said. June ran her palm over the surfaced grain. The color was lighter than Earl's boards, but the undertone would take her stain. Sam charged them for an extra half hour because the cleanup ran past 7:30. June paid without complaint, which appeared to disappoint him. Back at the workshop, the 7 top boards filled one assembly bench. The replacement sat on the outside, its dark line carrying the eye toward the end instead of interrupting the center. Keith arrived at noon to approve it. He stood at the end of the dry arrangement, moving his gaze from board to board. That one's different. It is, June said. Will it stay lighter? No. How do you know? I'll make it darker. He looked at Anna. She will, Anna said. Keith walked along the boards. Earl said 1 tree. Earl chose 1 tree, June replied. The tree didn't remain usable. Denise will notice. Does Denise know walnut? Denise notices difference. It's her primary skill. Then tell her the truth. That one piece had to be replaced, that the table was nearly canceled, the original board split, and you chose to finish it anyway. Keith considered this. She'll say that's sentimental. Is she wrong? He rested his fingertips on the new board. No, he approved it. The glue-up had to be done in sections because they no longer had enough long clamps for the full width. Anna joined 3 boards, then 4. June monitored the joints while Owen tightened the clamps in sequence. Not all at once, Anna told him. Middle, ends, then between. I know. You just tightened the end first. I was emotionally preparing the middle. Prepare it with the wrench. Glue squeezed out in a clean, narrow line. June removed the excess before it hardened. They worked until after 9. Anna left first because she had to report to the hospital at 6. Owen stayed to help June cover the panels with blankets against the overnight cold. At the door, he paused. Grant thinks you're spending more than you're saying. Grant thinks everybody is concealing a number from him. Are you? Yes. Owen waited. I'm concealing it from myself until Anna finishes the updated budget. He laughed, then saw she was not entirely joking. Do you need money? You owe money. I mean, more than the 100. Can you afford more? He rubbed a thumb along the edge of his phone case. Not this month. Then no. He looked relieved and ashamed at once. Mom, the compressor, do you actually need it? Eventually. I could sell it for maybe 200. It belongs to you if your father gave it to you. He said I could have his portable tools someday. He said that many times. Did he mean after he died? June leaned against the doorframe. I don't know. Owen stared into the dark driveway. I took them because Grant was clearing everything, and I thought if I didn't, strangers would. Then I sold some because rent was late. Both things are true, I know. Does one make the other less bad? No? Right. He nodded. Honest answers. He left the compressor in the shop. The missing brass pull for Raymond and Paul's cabinets proved harder to recover than the walnut. June called the Pennsylvania supplier and read the pattern number from the invoice. Discontinued, the woman told her. We might have one in returns, but I wouldn't count on it. When will you know? End of the week. June telephoned Raymond. Paul answered and put her on speaker. We have 7 pulls, June explained. The 8th may not be available. We only need 6, Paul said. Raymond's voice came from farther away. We need 8. Why do we need 8? 2 drawers and 2 doors on each cabinet. We could leave off the pulls on your doors. And open them? How? Emotionally. June waited for them to finish. She offered 3 options. Replace all 8 with a similar pattern at the shop's expense. Delay while they searched, or use one intentionally different pull on an interior drawer. Would it look like a mistake? Raymond asked. Yes, June said. Anna, listening beside her, raised an eyebrow. Unless we place a different pull on both top drawers, June continued. Then it looks deliberate. We could use simpler knobs there. Paul liked the idea. Raymond did not. I ordered matched cabinets, he said. The cabinets will match. With hardware that doesn't. Yes. Silence. Paul said, Ray, nobody is going to count the handles. You counted throw pillows in the hotel. They were badly distributed. June heard Raymond sigh. Give the supplier until Friday, he said. Then call us. After the conversation, Anna wrote hardware pending across their folder. You could have told them 2 different knobs would look good, she said. I don't know that yet. It would. That is not the same thing. Anna smiled. You're getting difficult. I learned from expensive people. On Thursday, the Nolan table panels came out of the clamps. The joints held cleanly. Anna and June fitted the 2 halves together, then stood them upright so both faces could settle before final joining. Without the shop's old hoist, the panels were almost more than they could manage. Owen was at work. June took the lighter end, but pain traveled from her wrist to her elbow. Anna lowered her side immediately. Stop. I have it. No. You're borrowing against tomorrow. I can't call my sons every time something is heavy. You can call someone. Who? Anna looked around the stripped shop. The question embarrassed June more than the pain. Earl had known everybody he could ask to lift, haul, wire, weld, or deliver. June had known their invoices and coffee preferences, but most of the numbers had lived in his telephone. Anna took out her cell phone. What are you doing? Calling Luis, upholstery shop 2 blocks over. I don't know, Luis. I do. 20 minutes later, Luis Mendoza arrived wearing an apron dusted with yellow foam. He helped them set the panels down, examined the walnut, and whistled. Earl's? June's, Anna said. Luis glanced at June, then nodded as if Anna had corrected a measurement. He would not accept money for 10 minutes of lifting. He did accept June's offer to repair a loose drawer in his fabric cabinet when the current orders were finished. After he left, June wrote his name and number on the wall beside the telephone, not in Earl's book, on the wall where she could see it. Anna watched her. What? Nothing. You have a face. I was thinking the shop looks less empty. June looked at the 2 walnut panels, the borrowed tools, Anna's battered bag, and Louise's number written in blue marker. It still looked wounded, but not abandoned. The Pennsylvania supplier called Friday afternoon. We found one, the woman said. Display sample. Pattern's correct, but the lacquer has a scratch. How deep? Enough that I'm telling you. Send me a photograph. The pull arrived on June's computer 10 minutes later. A silver line crossed one corner of the aged brass. Anna enlarged the image. We can strip all 8 and patinate them together. That adds 3 hours. 2. You always say 2 when you mean 3. And you always count your finishing time as free. June ordered the pull. When she telephoned Raymond and Paul, Raymond wanted to know whether the repaired hardware would still match. It will when I'm done, June said. Paul called from the background. Ask if we can have the scratched one on your side. They're stripping all of them. Then ask if she can scratch yours again. Raymond took them off speakerphone. The Nolan table took over the shop. The top panels were joined on Saturday. Luis returned to help lift without waiting to be asked, though he accepted a repaired fabric cabinet drawer as a formal trade. Anna flattened the seam with hand planes because renting Rusk's wide belt sander would have consumed most of the remaining profit. Owen built padded supports, swept continuously, and learned to distinguish a square corner from an emotionally smooth one. June began matching the replacement board. Raw, it was paler than the others. Stained, its dark line turned almost black, while the surrounding grain stayed stubbornly gold. She made 5 samples on offcuts and labeled each by formula. Anna held the third beside the table. Close. Close is what people say before a thing dries wrong. The fourth became too brown. The fifth went purple beneath the top coat. June returned to the first formula, reduced the amber, and added a trace of green to quiet the red. She applied it in 2 layers, wiping the outer edge sooner than the center. The next morning, the replacement board belonged to the table without pretending it came from the same tree. Keith visited and walked around the top. "Denise will still see it," he said. "Then Denise has excellent eyesight," June replied. He touched the dark line. "It looks intentional. It looks considered. That is not the same thing." He nodded as if storing the sentence for later. Grant came while they were fitting the trestle base. He wore a charcoal overcoat and carried a slim folder. June saw the folder before she saw his face. "No, I haven't said anything." The folder did. Anna gathered the chisels from the bench. "I'm going to Rusk's for the stretcher bolts." "You don't have to leave," June said. "I know." Owen followed her out, taking much longer than necessary to carry an empty coffee tray to the trash. Grant placed the folder beside the order box. "It's a market analysis. I know what one looks like. I prepared it for you. No obligation, then take it home. Would you at least look?" June fitted the dry tenon into the trestle leg. It stopped a 1/4 inch short. She marked the tight place with pencil. "Mom." "What?" "Do you plan to keep doing this after the orders are finished?" "I plan to finish the orders." "That isn't an answer. It is the answer available today." Grant opened the folder. Photographs of the house and workshop faced upward. He had used an older picture taken in summer when Earl's tomato plants climbed strings beside the shop wall. "The property could bring more than you think," he said. "The outbuilding makes it attractive to a small contractor or cabinet maker. It is attractive to the cabinet makers already in it. You and Anna are renting equipment and asking people to help lift. That isn't a functioning business. It has paid customers. It has inherited obligations." June set down her pencil. "What do you need?" "I told you, this isn't about my office. Then you won't mind answering." Grant closed the folder but kept one hand on it. "A colleague offered me a share in a commercial brokerage," he said. "He has clients moving into the northern counties. Better commissions, better listings." "How much?" "For the partnership?" "Yes." $75,000. June waited. "I have 40, he said. "And you thought my house would provide the rest." "I thought if you downsized, you would free up equity. If you wanted to invest part of it, you'd receive a return. Was I going to live in the return? You could buy a condominium for cash." "Where?" "There are nice units near me." "Grant." He looked away. "You arranged an answer for my life because it solved a problem in yours," she said. "That is not fair. I have spent months worrying about you in this house. Earl died 12 days before you emptied the workshop. I started researching before he died. The admission hurt them both. Grant tried to repair it too quickly. He asked me what the property might be worth. When? After his second surgery? Before or after he stopped driving? What difference does that make? Did he ask because he wanted to sell or because he was afraid?" "I don't know. Did you ask me?" "No." June pressed her palm against the table leg. The wood held steady. "I will not sell my home to buy your partnership. I didn't ask you to. You brought buyers into my workshop. They were not—" "Stop polishing the sentence." Grant's mouth closed. June pushed the folder toward him. "If you need $35,000, ask me for $35,000. Then I can say no to the thing you actually want." His face reddened. "I'm not asking my mother for money. You were asking the market to ask for you." He took the folder. For 1 second, June thought he might throw it. Instead, he aligned the loose pages and tucked them carefully beneath the cover. "Dad would have wanted you somewhere easier," he said. "Your father wanted everything easier after he made it difficult." Grant flinched. June regretted the sentence, but not enough to withdraw it. "He also would have wanted you to have the partnership," she said. "He might have convinced himself those two wants were one good plan. And you wouldn't?" "No." Grant buttoned his coat. At least you're finally saying what you want. After he left, June sat on the assembly bench until Anna and Owen returned with the bolts. Neither asked what had happened. Owen picked up the abandoned coffee tray, realized it was empty, and set it down again. "Tenons tight," June said. Anna checked her pencil mark. "We'll pair the shoulder." They worked. The table was ready the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, one day before Keith's deadline. June applied the final coat at dawn, so it would have a full day to cure. By evening, the walnut held a low glow, not the glassy shine Earl sometimes favored. The replacement board's dark edge framed the top. They transported it Wednesday morning in a rented enclosed trailer. The top rode on its side in a padded cradle. The trestle base traveled in pieces. Luis helped load. Anna drove. Owen followed in his pickup with tools and blankets. June sat beside Anna, holding Earl's drawing and the envelope containing Keith's invoice. "You're quiet," Anna said. "I'm listening for the table. If it comes loose, you will hear more than the table." Keith lived in a white farmhouse outside town. Denise and Rochelle were already there when the trailer arrived. Denise wore a belted red coat and immediately asked whether the top would clear the front door. Rochelle wore slippers outside and said the side door was wider. Keith insisted Earl had measured the front. "He also measured Lauren's refrigerator," Anna muttered. They used the side door. The dining room had been emptied except for 6 chairs lined against the wall. June directed the placement of the trestles, while Anna fitted the stretcher. Owen crawled beneath to tighten the bolts. Denise stood with her arms folded. Rochelle ran one hand over the unfinished underside. "You can feel the plane marks. They're supposed to be there," June said. "I like them." Denise examined the top. Her gaze traveled across every board and stopped exactly where Keith predicted. "This one's different." Keith looked at the replacement board. "Yes," he said. "The original split. We had to use another." Denise glanced at him, apparently surprised by the absence of apology. "Does that make it weaker?" "No," Anna said. "Then it's fine." Rochelle moved a chair to one short end. Keith took it away. "No heads. It's a table, Keith. It has ends. Nobody sits there. Where do we put the turkey? The turkey doesn't have an opinion." "Denise, explain geometry to him." Denise pulled out a chair along the side. "Sit down, Rochelle." To June's surprise, Rochelle did. Keith sat opposite her. Denise chose the middle of the other side, leaving the 2 end places empty. For a moment, the 3 of them rested their hands on the new walnut and looked uncomfortable together. Then Rochelle said, "Mom would hate that there's no tablecloth." Denise answered, "Mom covered good wood with vinyl." Keith laughed first. Denise followed. Rochelle tried not to and failed. The table had not repaired them. June could see years of argument still sitting in the spaces between their chairs. But they stayed seated. Keith paid the balance. The job made less profit than planned, but it made some. When June returned home, Grant's car was gone, but a small package waited inside the workshop door. He must have come while they were delivering. June opened the brown paper. Earl's brass nameplate lay inside, cleaned of sawdust. Beneath it was Grant's old house key and another business card. "Found this in my office storage. It belongs to you." June carried the plate to the workshop door. The 4 screw holes lined up perfectly. She held it there for a long moment, then lowered it. Instead of reinstalling it, she placed the plate in the top drawer of the finishing cabinet, beside Earl's maker stamp. The empty holes remained. June cooked a turkey breast instead of a whole bird. Earl had insisted on buying the largest turkey that would fit in the oven, then complained for a week about leftovers. This year, June chose 6 pounds, made 1 pan of dressing, and baked the sweet potatoes in a dish small enough to carry with one hand. Owen arrived first with rolls and a bottle of wine. "Do we drink this, or is it decorative?" he asked. "Grant will decide whether the label is respectable." Grant came 10 minutes later, carrying a pumpkin pie from the expensive bakery on Mason Street. He wiped his shoes at the door and hung his coat without trying the old key he had returned. Nobody mentioned the brass plate. They ate at the dining table Earl built when the sons were in high school. June had finished it in a dark stain she later regretted. Beneath Grant's plate was a crescent-shaped dent from the year Owen dropped a cast-iron skillet. Grant looked at the empty 4th chair. "You could have invited someone," he said. "I invited both of you. I mean, so it wouldn't be just us. It has been just us before." "Not exactly." June passed the dressing. Owen filled the silence by describing how Anna had taught him to sand without turning furniture into river rocks. Grant asked whether the Nolan table had been delivered. "Yesterday," June said. "Did it fit?" Through the side door. Did you make anything on it? A little. Grant nodded. Good. He did not ask how little. After dinner, Owen washed dishes. Grant dried, although he inspected every plate Owen handed him for remaining grease. You're not quality control, Owen said. This one has gravy on the back. Nobody eats off the back. That isn't a standard. June sat at the table with her wine and listened to them argue. Earl would have told Grant to stop fussing and then quietly rewashing the plate himself. For a few minutes, she missed him so abruptly that the room seemed to tilt around the empty chair. Owen looked over his shoulder. You okay? Yes. He watched her long enough to show that he did not believe her, then returned to the sink. He did not demand a better answer. Grant wrapped leftover pie in foil for her. Before leaving, he stood beside the kitchen drawer where the spare keys had always been kept. Do you still want me to do the back steps before winter? He asked. I do. Should I call first? Yes. All right. It was not an apology, but it was shaped like one. The replacement brass pull arrived the following Monday. Its scratch was deeper than the photograph suggested. June stripped the lacquer from all 8 pulls, polished them lightly, then suspended them on copper wire over a shallow tray while Anna mixed a darkening solution. You trust me with this? Anna asked. I trust the chemistry. That is less flattering. I trust you not to spill the chemistry. They aged the pulls together, checking the color every 30 seconds. The replacement darkened faster where the scratch exposed raw metal. June removed it first, rubbed the corner with fine abrasive, and returned it for 12 seconds. When the hardware dried, even Anna had to turn the pieces under the light to identify the repaired one. The matched bedside cabinets had already been assembled from the clean portion of Keith's damaged walnut board. Each was narrow, with one drawer above 2 doors and a small pull-out tray hidden beneath the top. Earl had included the trays after Paul mentioned that Raymond fell asleep while reading and regularly lost his glasses in the blankets. June finished both cabinets herself. The walnut required less persuasion than Keith's table. Its grain warmed under shellac, and the old board that could no longer be a tabletop became 4 doors and 2 drawer fronts. June left the interiors pale so Raymond could see inside them at night. Paul and Raymond came to collect the cabinets rather than pay for delivery. They arrived in a rented van with 6 quilts, 2 furniture dollies, and opposing ideas about how straps worked. Raymond inspected the cabinets first. He opened every door, tested the drawers, and counted the pulls without embarrassment. Which one was scratched? He asked. June pointed to the upper right door on Paul's cabinet. He examined it. No, really? That one. Paul leaned over his shoulder. I thought mine was the cabinet by the window. They're identical, Raymond said. Then how do we know which is mine? The scratched pull. You said you couldn't see it. I know where it is. Paul looked at June. You've given him a system. This is dangerous. Raymond slid out the narrow tray beneath the top. We didn't order this. Earl added it to the drawing, June said. For my glasses, Paul said. For your crackers, Raymond corrected. Paul looked at the second tray. What's yours for? My dignity. Anna coughed to disguise a laugh. They paid the remaining balance and insisted on loading the cabinets themselves. After 10 minutes of watching them disagree about quilts, Anna rearranged the padding, and Owen tightened the straps when he arrived. Raymond returned to the shop door before leaving. Earl told us he would build these, he said. I wasn't sure what it meant when he died. Neither was I, June replied. He looked toward Anna, then back at the cabinets in the van. It means you built them. Yes. Raymond nodded. Good. June stamped their order, paid, and moved it behind Evelyn's and Keith's. Only the bakery table remained. The Morrow sisters arrived that afternoon, carrying 3 stain samples and a paper bag of pastries. Anita Morrow, the eldest, managed the bakery's accounts and spoke in questions that sounded like decisions. Rochelle handled recipes and wore flour on her coat even when the ovens had been off all day. Denise managed the front counter and had brought paint chips that did not resemble any color found in ash. They were not related to Keith Nolan's sisters, though the coincidence of 2 Rochelles and 2 Denises had amused Earl enough that he wrote Morrow in capital letters on every bakery note. Anita set the pastries beside the order box. We need to settle the color. We settled the color in August, Rochelle said. You settled it with Earl. Earl wrote down medium. Medium is a color. Medium is how you order eggs. Denise arranged her paint chips across the ash sample Earl had made. The walls are warmer now. The walls are yellow, Rochelle said. They are wheat. They are nicotine with ambition. June picked up the sample. Earl had wiped one half with a pale honey stain and left the other natural. The table is for the production room, she said, not the front. You can see it from the register, Denise replied. Only if the kitchen door is open, Rochelle said. The kitchen door is always open. Because you won't let me replace the hinge. Anita closed her eyes. We are discussing the table. Anna opened the Morrow folder. The ash work table was to be 10 feet long and 44 inches wide, built in 2 sections that bolted together beneath the top. The 3 sisters wanted a surface sturdy enough for mixing, cooling racks, boxing orders, and the large hand-cranked dough divider their father had refused to retire. Most of Earl's ash had disappeared during the cleanout. The curved strip Owen once held belonged to an apron piece, but the top stock was gone. Replacing it at current prices would erase the order's profit and part of the cabinet payment. We need to discuss more than color, Anna said. The sisters quieted. June explained the missing material, the cost, and Earl's original estimate. She did not mention that Grant and Owen had cleared the shop until Anita asked directly what happened to the wood. My sons sold or discarded it after Earl died. All 3 sisters absorbed that in different ways. Rochelle's eyebrows rose. Denise looked toward the empty machine spaces. Anita placed both palms on the assembly bench. Did you kill them? Rochelle asked. No. Very restrained. They are repaying the shop. Anita examined the cost sheet Anna had prepared. This says the ash costs $700 more than Earl allowed. Yes. And you're not charging us the difference. It wasn't your mistake. What if we change the top? To what? Denise asked immediately. Maple, Anna said. Less expensive, readily available, hard enough for bakery work. Our parents' table was ash, Rochelle said. Their old bakery table had not survived the building's leaking roof. Earl had repaired it 3 times before finally declaring the top unsafe. The new order was never meant to reproduce it exactly, but the wood had been the one thing the sisters agreed to carry forward. A narrower ash top would reduce the cost, Anna said. How much narrower? Anita asked. 38 inches. The dough divider needs 40. We could add a separate platform for it. No, Rochelle said. Denise picked up Earl's medium sample. What would you do? The question was directed at June. June looked at the figures. The business could absorb the ash if nothing else went wrong. Nothing else was an irresponsible condition on which to build a table. I would buy the ash, she said. I would keep the dimensions. And I would finish it natural, because the first month of flour will change the color more honestly than any stain. Rochelle nodded at once. Denise held her paint chips beside the natural wood, then set them down. Natural could work. Anita was still studying June. And your business? It will be paid. That wasn't my question. No, June said. It wasn't. Anita folded the cost sheet. We will pay half the material difference. You don't owe it. We don't owe all of it, Anita replied. Neither do you. Rochelle began to object, but Denise surprised both sisters by agreeing. Half, she said. But we keep the original width. June looked at Anna. Anna gave the smallest nod. Half, June said. After the sisters left, Anna cut a pastry into exact quarters with a utility knife. There are 2 of us, June said. I'm taking 2 quarters. That is called a half. It sounds less greedy in quarters. They ate beside the order box. The bakery table was the last obligation covered by their written agreement. Once it was delivered, Anna's evenings would belong to her again. What are you working on after this? June asked. Anna brushed crumbs from the legal pad. I have 2 repair jobs waiting, a sideboard and a set of dining chairs. Where will you do them? Rusk rents space. At an hourly rate. Yes. You store your tools in your apartment? And a storage unit. June looked toward the east bay, where the recovered lumber now occupied only 1 rack. The rest of the long wall stood empty. You could rent that bay, she said. Anna stopped chewing. I could. I'm not offering charity. I didn't think you were. I'd need steady rent, enough to cover utilities and part of the taxes, and access, your own key. The words left June before she considered how recently keys had become the measure of everything. Anna looked at the workshop door, then at the empty screw holes where Earl's plate had been. What would you call the shop? She asked. June followed her gaze. I don't know yet. Figure that out first, Anna said. Then we can talk about a key. June spent 2 days pretending Anna had not asked the question. She priced ash, checked the tax bill, and measured the East Bay. She calculated electricity based on the previous winter and added a quarter for Anna's machines. She called her insurance agent, who explained the difference between a tenant and a business partner 3 times, each explanation less useful than the last. On the third evening, she placed a typed page beside Anna's tool bag. Anna read it without removing her coat. 1-year term? You said you wanted security. I also like escape routes. Either of us can end it with 60 days' notice. Anna continued down the page. 1 bay, shared use of the finishing area, access to the loading door, separate responsibility for customers and materials, scheduled use of any jointly purchased machines. The rent was modest, but not symbolic. You included storage in the loft, Anna said. You have chairs. I have a lot of chairs. I remember. Anna reached the bottom. Tenant may use the business name Mercer Workshop for existing orders only. That line needs changing. To what? June placed a second sheet on the bench. Repair, finishing, custom work. Anna read it once, then again. You don't have to put my name on the building to rent me space. I know. Mercer is Earl's name. It is also mine. Anna looked up. June had not understood until she said it how much of her life had been hidden inside that distinction. Customers called the shop Earl's because his first name was on the door. The family called Mercer his name, even though June had signed it for 46 years. I don't want to preserve a shop where one person gets credit for everyone, she said. Anna took off her coat. Equal size letters, she said. Yes. No, and associate. No, no picture of a hand plane between the names. I wasn't considering one. Everyone considers one. They revised the lease together. Anna added language about her independent customers. June added a monthly cleaning schedule after remembering Anna's old habit of leaving coffee cups on the drill press. Anna objected until June reminded her that 1 cup had once contained a dead moth for an entire summer. That moth had privacy, Anna said. It had descendants. They signed the lease. June gave Anna the spare key from the kitchen drawer. Anna closed her fingers around it, but she did not put it on her ring immediately. This isn't payment for helping with the orders. No. And I'm not replacing Earl. No one could tolerate that much radio. Anna slipped the key into her pocket. The ash arrived the next morning. They had ordered wide boards for the top and heavier stock for the legs and aprons. Anita Morrow's payment covered half the price increase. The rest came from the cabinet balance and the profit on Keith's table. The workshop account remained alive by a narrow, stubborn margin. The bakery table would be built in 2 5-foot sections, each with its own base. Hidden alignment pins would join the tops, and bolts beneath the center would keep the sections from drifting apart while dough was worked across the seam. Earl's one surviving curved apron piece lay on the bench. June held it against the new ash. The color had darkened slightly since summer, but the grain matched. We can use it on the front section, Anna said. It's already cut to length, and correctly for once. June gave her a look. Respectful silence, Anna said. They milled the new ash at Rusk's and returned with every board labeled. Louise helped unload. Sam Rusk sent along Earl's unpaid meatball sub in the form of a handwritten invoice for $9.50. June mailed him $10 with a note saying he could apply the change to emotional damages. Work proceeded without the frantic feeling that had followed Lauren's counter. The bakery sisters had given them a deadline, but it was reasonable. Anna still left at 8 on weeknights. June stopped when her hands began to swell. Owen came Tuesdays and Saturdays, no longer asking which tools were his. He made the alignment pin jig after Anna drew it. The first version was crooked. He threw it away himself, then caught June watching. That was authorized disposal, he said. The appeals period remains open. His second version worked. The table legs were square and heavy, joined by low stretchers so carts could pass beneath the ends. June eased every corner by hand. Not rounded, she told Owen, merely persuaded. The top required a food-safe finish. June warmed mineral oil in a pan of water and rubbed it into the ash until the pale grain deepened to honey. The wood drank the first coat so quickly that Rochelle called from the bakery to ask whether they had secretly stained it. Flour will lighten it again, June told her. Denise says the floor is warmer than the table. Tell Denise the floor is not kneading bread. She can hear you. Good. The next Sunday, June invited Grant and Owen for pot roast. She did not disguise the invitation as a casual dinner. She telephoned each of them and said there was something she intended to discuss. Grant arrived prepared to dislike it. Anna's signed lease lay on the dining table. Grant read the first page standing up. You rented her part of the workshop. Yes, for a year. Yes, this makes selling almost impossible. It makes selling unnecessary. His eyes went to the rent figure. He calculated quickly. June could see it. This doesn't cover the property taxes. It covers most of the increase, the shop utilities, and part of the insurance. My income covers the rest. What happens when the roof needs replacement? I save for it. With what? Work. Grant dropped the page. Owen continued reading. Anna has her own key? Yes. His gaze flicked toward Grant. Neither of you does, June said. That has not changed. Owen nodded and returned to the lease. Grant walked toward the window. The bakery table section stood visible beneath the shop lights. You're giving Dad's business to a stranger. I am renting Anna one bay. You put her name on it. I put my name on it too. Mercer was already on it. No, Earl was on it. Grant turned. June held his gaze. You keep speaking as if your father's name belongs to you more than it belongs to me. That isn't what I mean. It is what you say. I mean, this was his work, his reputation. He spent his whole life building it. So did I. You helped. June felt the old word slide toward its old place, making everything smaller. No, she said. I worked. Grant looked at Owen for support. Owen folded the lease. She did. You were barely here. I was here enough to know who fixed Dad's invoices after he wrote the wrong price. That doesn't make it her business. June stood. I kept customers from leaving when he missed dates. I selected boards with him. I made samples, stained doors, corrected drawings, collected balances, and told you dinner was late because your father was working when half the time he was sitting in the shop, afraid he had promised more than he could finish. Both sons went still. June had never said that aloud. Earl's last year had contained long stretches when he stood over drawings without cutting anything. June would bring him coffee, adjust a measurement, and tell customers the work was progressing. Some days it was. Some days the only thing moving was the clock above his bench. Grant's anger shifted. You knew he couldn't keep up? I knew he was scared. And you covered for him. Yes. So these orders are still obligations. They're proof he should have stopped. Maybe. The agreement cost June more than defending him would have. Owen rubbed his forehead. Why didn't either of you tell us? What would you have done? Helped. You emptied the shop when nobody asked. That was after. You had keys before. Owen looked down. Grant walked back to the table. And Anna? She gets the piece we didn't know we were supposed to save. Anna gets space she pays for. She gets her own customers and her own name. She isn't family. No, June said. She has never used that word to excuse taking from me. Grant's face tightened as if she had struck him. June did not take it back. From the kitchen came the faint hiss of gravy boiling over. Owen rose. Your stove. June turned off the burner and moved the pan. When she returned, Grant had put on his coat. Dinner's ready, she said. I'm not hungry. You came for pot roast. I came because you said this mattered. It does. To you, yes. Grant opened the back door. June's anger thinned enough for pain to enter. I am not choosing Anna instead of you. Could have fooled me. I am choosing who works in the workshop. That is not the same as choosing who sits at my table. Grant looked toward the dining room. His place was set. June had put the end slice of roast on his plate because he liked the browned edge. He left anyway. Owen stayed. They ate across from each other while Grant's food cooled. Owen did not apologize for his brother or ask June to soften what she had said. Afterward, he wrapped Grant's meal in foil. I'll drop it at his place. Will he eat it? He'll complain about the carrots and eat all of it. At the door, Owen held up Anna's copy of the proposed business name. It's good, he said. Grant doesn't think so. Grant thinks names are deeds. What do you think? I think Dad's name was Earl. The following Saturday, Anna brought 2 small steelmaker stamps to the shop. One read J. Mercer. The other read A. Delgado. Equal size, she said. June turned hers over in her palm. What about Earl's? In the finishing drawer. They placed the bakery table sections upside down on padded supports. Beneath the end containing Earl's curved apron, June pressed his old Earl Mercer custom woodwork stamp into the ash with one firm hammer blow. The letters came out deep and clear. Beside it, she struck J. Mercer. Anna added A. Delgado, 3 marks. Not equal stories, not identical claims, but all true. They turned the sections upright and bolted them together. The seam closed until June could barely catch it with a fingernail. Owen arrived with the rented trailer reservation and stopped when he saw the finished table. "Tomorrow at 8, Anna told him. "Luis is helping load." Owen ran his hand across the joint. "Grant knows we're delivering?" "I didn't ask him," June said. "He used to move furniture better than me. He used to direct you while you moved it. That too." June looked at the table, 10 feet of pale ash holding the warm light of the workshop. The last order sheet lay clipped to Anita Morrow's invoice. The balance would be paid after installation. One promise remained between the empty holes on the door and whatever name went there next. Outside, a car slowed at the driveway. Grant's car. He looked toward the open shop, but he did not turn in. After a moment, his brake lights went dark and he drove on. Grant was in the driveway at 7:40 the next morning. He wore work gloves and an old brown jacket June remembered from his first year in real estate, when he painted empty houses himself to save commission money. A travel mug sat on the hood of his car. "I heard the table has to go through the bakery's back door in 2 pieces, he said. "Owen called you. He said Luis has a furniture delivery at 9. Luis had not mentioned another delivery. June looked at Owen. He became deeply interested in tightening a trailer strap. "You don't have to help," she told Grant. "I know." Anna came out carrying the installation box. She nodded at Grant, neither welcoming nor refusing him. "Lift from the apron," she said, "not the top." Grant followed instructions. The first table section required all 4 of them to guide it down the ramp. June stayed beside the trailer to control the strap rather than take the weight. Grant glanced at her once, possibly expecting her to prove something by lifting. She did not. Luis arrived as they positioned the section on a padded cart. "I thought you had a delivery," Grant said. Luis looked at Owen. Owen shook his head slightly. Luis understood at once. Later. Grant looked between them. He could have taken offense. Instead, he grasped the cart handle. "Which end?" "The heavy one," Owen said. "They weigh the same. Then you can't complain." They loaded both sections, the bases, the stretchers, the installation tools, and a container of extra mineral oil. Before closing the trailer, June checked every strap herself. Grant watched her. "Dad used to retighten all of mine," he said. "He retightened everybody's. I thought it was just me. No. He had no faith in knots he didn't tie." The Morrow Bakery occupied a corner storefront with a striped awning and gold lettering on the windows. The front room smelled of sugar and hot yeast. Cardboard pastry boxes rose in stacks behind the counter, and a chalkboard menu leaned against a chair waiting to be hung. Anita opened the back door before they knocked. "You're early." "By 3 minutes," June said. "Rochelle owes me $5. From inside, Rochelle called. "Delivery windows are not legally binding." Denise appeared behind her wearing an apron that matched the warm yellow walls. She looked past June at the trailer. "That table had better be natural." "It remains unstained," Anna said. "Good. You agreed to that 2 weeks ago," Rochelle told her. "I've continued agreeing." The production room was larger than the salon, but more crowded. Rolling racks stood along one wall. A commercial mixer occupied the corner nearest the ovens. In the center, the old hand-cranked dough divider waited on a metal cart. The rear door was wide enough for each table section, with less than 2 inches to spare. Grant walked backward with Luis at the front. Owen and Anna carried the opposite end. June guided the curved apron past the doorframe. "Left," she said. "My left?" Grant asked. "There is only one left at a time. That is not true when 4 people are carrying furniture. Toward the mixer. That I understand." They set the first section on its base, brought in the second, and joined the alignment pins. Owen crawled underneath with a wrench. The center bolts drew the seam together until the 2 tops became one long surface. The floor dipped near the ovens. June had brought ash shims cut in advance. She leveled the legs while Anna checked diagonally across the top. Rochelle placed both palms near the center seam and leaned her weight into it. "It doesn't move." "That was the request," Anna said. "I'm complimenting you. Then we accept." Denise studied the color against the walls. "It's cooler than the floor." Anita closed her eyes. "But," Denise continued, "it will warm with oil." June handed her the container. once a month for the first 6 months. After that, whenever the wood looks dry. Rochelle wheeled the dough divider to the reinforced end. The machine was cast iron, painted dark green, with a crank long enough to strike an inattentive person in the ribs. Grant and Owen lifted it from the cart. The table held without flexing. Anita ran her hand over the front apron and stopped at Earl's curved piece. "This part is darker." "Earl cut that one," June said. "It was recovered after the shop was cleared." Rochelle crouched to look underneath. "There are stamps." The others bent or stepped closer. Beneath the apron, Earl's old mark sat beside June's and Anna's. Denise read them aloud. "Earl Mercer, Custom Woodwork, J. Mercer. A. Delgado." Anita looked at June. 3 builders? 2 builders and 1 beginning. Anna glanced at her, but did not correct the description. Rochelle touched Earl's stamp. "He promised this table so many times I started thinking the promise was the product." "He did that," June said. "He would come by, eat 2 bear claws, measure the same doorway, and tell us he was almost ready. He measured when he was worried. Then he was extremely worried about that doorway." Denise rested her flour-dusted hand beside June's mark. "He would have liked it." Anna picked up the installation box. "He would have said he designed it better." They laughed because it was true. Anita wrote the balance check at the front counter. She made it payable to Mercer Delgado, copying the name from the invoice June had prepared. "You changed the business," she said. "We changed the sign." The work was already changing. Anita added a box of pastries to the payment envelope. "This is not a tip," she said. "It's breakfast." "We ate," Anna replied. Anita pushed the box toward her. "Badly, I assume?" Anna accepted it. Back at the workshop, Grant helped unload the tools. He folded the moving blankets into even squares and stacked them in the trailer. Owen went to return it. Luis carried his repaired fabric drawer back to the upholstery shop. Anna left for Rusk's to collect the first set of dining chairs she would restore in her rented bay. Grant remained. June placed the morrow check on the assembly bench. "That's the last one?" he asked. "The last open order. So you're done?" "No." He looked toward the east bay. Anna had already marked spaces for her work table and chair rack with blue tape. "Right." June opened the order box. 5 folders bore the red paid stamp. Gail Foster's pantry door order was marked canceled, refunded. All 6 were closed. Grant stood across from her. "My partnership spot is gone," he said. "I'm sorry. I waited too long. Because of me?" "No." He rubbed one thumb along the seam of his glove. "I told myself it was because I needed to know what you were doing. Martin gave it to somebody who had the full amount. That hurts. It does." June waited for him to turn the hurt into a plan for her. He did not. "I kept thinking Dad would sell eventually," he said. "When he got sick, I thought he would have to. Then he died, and the shop was still full of everything he hadn't finished. So, you emptied it. I thought if I made it empty, you would look at the house and understand there was nothing holding you here. There was me." Grant looked down. "I know that now." June closed the order box. "I was afraid you'd get hurt with the machines," he said. "I was afraid you'd spend money keeping a building you couldn't use. I was also counting on you to sell." All 3 things were true. It was Owen's kind of confession, untidy enough to trust. "You sold work that belonged to customers," June said. "I know. You brought strangers here. I know. You spoke about my home, as if I had already left it." He nodded. "I'm sorry." June believed he was. Belief did not put a key back into his hand, or return the walnut she had bought twice. "Thank you," she said. Grant looked toward the shop door. "Are you ever going to put Dad's plate back?" "No." His jaw tightened, then relaxed. "What happens to it?" "It stays in the finishing cabinet with his stamp." "Can I see it sometimes?" "Yes." He removed his gloves. "The back steps still need replacing." "They do." "I'll call Saturday." "Call Friday. We'll check the weather." He nodded. At the driveway, Grant stopped beside his car. "Sunday dinner?" 6 o'clock. "Is Anna coming?" The question carried just enough sharpness to remind June that apology was not transformation. "I haven't asked her." "If she does? Then there will be enough food." Grant opened his car door. "I don't have a key, no, so I knock. Yes." He looked annoyed by how simple she made it. 6 o'clock. Anna moved into the East Bay over the following week. She brought a compact jointer, 2 metal shelving units, a work table scarred with black rings, and 19 dining chairs in various states of collapse. "You said a set," June told her. "It expanded. Furniture does not reproduce in storage. You have never owned chairs." The first month's rent went directly into June's winter tax account. Owen continued bringing $100 on the first Saturday. Grant paid another $200 toward the lost materials without being reminded. Neither payment erased what happened. Both arrived. The new sign was delivered on a Thursday morning. It was painted cream with dark blue letters, plain enough to read from the street. Repair, finishing, custom work. There was no handplane between the names. Anna held one end while June held the other. Owen climbed the ladder and centered it over the workshop door. The sign covered the 4 holes left by Earl's brass plate without using any of them. "A little left," Anna said. "My left?" Owen asked. June looked at Grant, who stood below holding the ladder. He sighed, toward the finishing cabinet. Owen shifted the sign. "There," June said. He tightened the screws. Sunday dinners remained uneven. Owen came most weeks. Grant missed 2, then arrived the 3rd, carrying cinnamon cookies and knocking hard enough to announce that he had remembered the rule. Anna accepted 1 invitation and argued with Grant about commercial property taxes through dessert. Nobody mistook that for harmony. New order cards began appearing in the gray metal box. A woman from Lauren's salon wanted a cedar chest repaired. Luis brought the loose drawer and asked about refinishing his front counter after the holidays. Evelyn telephoned because a neighbor had a chair that leaned in a manner suggesting bad character. June did not accept every job. She priced her finishing hours. Anna priced hers. When dates were uncertain, they said so before taking deposits. One evening, June closed the shop after Anna left and stood beneath the new sign. Inside, the radio Owen had returned played softly from the shelf Earl never finished. Anna's chairs filled one bay. A cedar chest waited near June's finishing bench. On the wall beside the telephone were Luis's number, Rusk's rental hours, and a stained formula written in June's hand. She took the 6 old folders from the back of the order box. Evelyn, Lauren, Keith, Raymond and Paul, Gail, the Morrow sisters. Earl had promised the work. June had kept the orders. She returned the folders to the box behind the new ones and turned off the lights. When the workshop went dark, the names over the door remained visible in the porch light, equal in size, both belonging to the people who would open it in the morning.